What the hell?
Good evening, everybody. You're watching America First. My name is Nicholas J. Fuentes. We have a great show for you tonight. Very excited to be back here with you tonight on Wednesday. We have a lot to talk about tonight. Lots to get into. Big show. Our featured story tonight, we're talking all about this Greenland deal. Dude, every single time. Trump always chickens out. That's the only way you can count on this guy to do. Every time you get excited for something,
That's
every
true.
time
The games are way scarier than movies, in my opinion. What do we do?
Our featured story is about the meeting in Davos, Switzerland today. Forum. Trump attended, gave a speech. He met with the Secretary General of NATO, and they discussed this Greenland issue. And we will talk about some of the back and forth. As you know, Trump threatened to impose a 25% tariff on all goods from a select number of European countries, which began in June. In retaliation, the European Union has suspended the implementation of a 2025 trade agreement with the United States. Well, after negotiations today, Trump says there is a framework deal for Greenland. Here's what he says: there is a framework red line for Denmark and for the rest of the European NATO countries. Is that the United States can never own Greenland? That's their red line. We're never going to get it. We're never going to have it. So what does the deal look like? Well, they say it will mirror a security agreement that the United Kingdom has with Cyprus, where parts of Greenland will be sovereign U.S. territory, and we will have veto power over whether China and Russia invest in their minerals and other projects in Greenland. We don't actually get it. We don't actually have it. So what the fuck are we doing? We'll talk about it, and we'll get into some of the geopolitics. Honestly, it seems that Trump just messed this one up. Too aggressive, galvanized Europe and Greenland against the acquisition, basically made it impossible. And now we have to settle for something that we sort of already have. It's really just codifying the existing arrangement where we have almost total freedom to operate inside Greenland, and we can apply pressure to prevent them from making agreements with other countries. Just that now it's going to be written. Okay, so what? So we'll talk about that. We're also going to talk tonight about the giant military buildup in the Middle East. And there's a new report from the Wall Street Journal that says that Trump is asking about decisive military options against Iran. You know what that means? That word decisive, it means they want to topple the regime. They want to use military force to bring down the government. Trump is asking his aides, how can we do something decisive there? He means, how are we going to overthrow the government of Iran and have regime change? To that end, he is putting an aircraft carrier strike group in the region. He's deploying all kinds of military transport, aircraft, a number of aircraft that will help with defending Israel and U.S. bases, deploying radar systems, missile defense systems. in anticipation of potentially wave after wave of airstrikes against Iran. So it looks like we're going back. And if you look at the betting markets, they're putting at a 70% chance. It's actually really more like 90% chance that we're going back to war in Iran before the end of the year. We'll talk about that too. Should be a pretty good show. Before we get into it, I want to remind you to smash the follow button on Rumble, smash the like button, leave a comment, let me know what you think about the show. Check out our merch store, Fuentes.store. We have a brand new item for sale to commemorate the birthday of Jeffrey Epstein. We have our brand new USA quarter zip on sale. Hey, take a look at it. Just take a look. Just go to the website, go to the store, just take a look, check it out. Fuentes.store, we have our USA quarter zip, very patriotic. It's actually quite patriotic. It's blue. It has a little red logo that says USA. It's got an American flag patch on the sleeve. Very patriotic. Very sharp. Very in right now. And actually, so many people tried to buy it last night, it crashed the website. It's our number 2 seller already for the month, and it's only been on sale for about 24 hours. Crashed the site. We've sold hundreds of them already. Get yours while you can. And by the way, I did check. People were saying, oh, it's probably all polyester. I believe it's 80% cotton, 20% polyester. So it's a high-quality material. Make sure to get it. They ship in 2 to 4 weeks. I think I'll have mine sooner, and I can't wait to wear it on a casual Friday. All kinds of people were freaking out. People were saying, I can't believe he's selling this shirt. Harry Sisson did like a 60-second promo for it. I saw on TikTok, Harry Sisson made a big sting. He said, we're glorifying Jeffrey Epstein. I said, Jeffrey Epstein's cool. Harry Sisson said, well, he's actually very fucking a monster. I said, okay, well, still has grip. Or it still has aura. So Harry Sisson actually put up the website with the link. I appreciated it. He put up the link to the store where people could buy it. All the comments were like, this is fresh. We like it. We like the shirt. They're going to buy it. So check it out. We're going to give Harry Sisson a promo code 17. All caps. That's a joke. It won't actually work. Remember also to check out our subscription website, AmericaFirst.plus. $15 a month. You get access to the entire archive, every show, every commentary stream, debate, speech, all of it, going back 10 years, as well as in MP3 format, RSS feed. It's all up there, AmericaFirst.plus. $100 a month. You get into the group chat with me. I'm going off in there all the time, doing bonus content, 30-minute voice messages, inside baseball, drama, details, everything you want, but it's only for rich people. If you're poor, don't apply. It's only for ballers. It's only for the aspirationally rich, the actually rich. That's the only people I want to see in there. No brokies. Okay? No brokies, no dirtbags, $100 a month. And you get to chop it up with the nigga. So that's AmericaFirst.plus. With that, we're going to dive into the show. Kind of a slow news day, honestly, outside of this Davos thing. Before I get into the news, I do want to talk a little bit more about the Clubacost, is what they're calling it. The Clubacost, Songacost. This is like close in terms of how horrific it is to the Holocaust. They're calling it the Clubacost. This is my first trip to the club when a song was played at a nightclub in Miami Beach, which offended Jewish people everywhere. 6 million ears were accosted by the song in what is being called the Clubacost. We're entering like day 5 of this. We got some updates for you. Get a load of this. The mayor and the commissioner of the city of Miami Beach have now invited the owners of the Vendome Club that I went to on Saturday to make a trip to the Holocaust Museum of Miami Beach. I'm not making this up. That's their move. There's an anti-Semitic incident. They bring everybody to the Holocaust Museum. Write a book report. So the mayor of the city is bringing the club owners of Vendome to the Holocaust Museum for a lecture, for a book report. And I wanted to talk a little bit more about that Patrick Bet-David interview from yesterday with Andrew Tate, because I actually had a chance last night to sit down and watch the entire thing. And I want to make something very clear about that whole situation. So as you know, I went to the club on Saturday for the first time with my niggas, with Clav, Sneeko, Myron, Fresh, Andrew and Tristan Tate, Justin Waller. We go to the club. We got a great time. Have a great time. We're singing, dancing. Red Bull is flowing. And as you know, the infamous song by Kanye West comes on. The DJ plays it, Heil Hitler by Ye. Now, Miami Beach is a very Jewish city. Everybody is offended. There's all sorts of political pressure, fallout. Everybody's getting in trouble. Everybody's blaming each other. Following day, Andrew Tate goes on Patrick Bet-David's podcast. Actually, I believe it was on Monday. He goes on the podcast. And everybody says that Andrew Tate is selling out, that he backed down, that he kissed the wall, all this kind of stuff. Because Andrew Tate goes on the show and says, well, hey, I didn't play the song, and I didn't like it, and it's not my fault, and I'm being blamed for it, and so on. And everybody is criticizing Andrew Tate. Everybody is saying that he caved, that's not top G, that's Matrix behavior, etc. And I said yesterday on the show, you got to keep in mind that Andrew Tate is under the gun in a few jurisdictions, in Romania, in the United Kingdom, in the United States. If he's not careful, he will go to jail. Okay, he will go to prison for like 10 years at least. He is up a creek without a paddle. He really cannot afford to take a lot of risks. And so for that reason, I sympathize. But you know what? I watched the entire interview last night, and I actually got to sit and see the whole thing in its entirety. And I think the real person to blame in all of this is Patrick Bet-David. I watched the whole thing, and if you watch the entire thing, you see Andrew Tate goes on the show, and they bring this up, and they talk about it for a couple of minutes, and Patrick says, I don't want to talk about this for too long, we should just move on. 2 minutes in, it drags on for 50 minutes. 50 minutes that Patrick Bet-David and his two co-hosts, mind you, these are all guys that are pushing 50 years old. Okay? They're all 50. These are grown men, supposedly serious businessmen, supposedly anti-woke, pro-Trump businessmen. They're crying for 50 minutes about a song. And I said this on Telegram, take a step back for a second. Take a step back, forget all of your assumptions, all your prejudices, everything that you know about the way the world works. Take a step back. What actually happened on Saturday night? A song was played in a nightclub. That's it. Nobody got hurt. Nobody got stabbed, shot, trampled, stampeded. Nobody got raped, molested, drugged. Nobody did any drugs. A group of guys went to a nightclub, played a song for 30 seconds with controversial lyrics. Song ended, everybody went home, everybody was fine. Objectively speaking, this is not a big deal. This doesn't matter. Nobody was even affected. Nobody was hurt. It is not a big deal. The reason that it is a big deal, the reason it is elevated to a crisis, is because it offended the wrong people. Because Jews run the city of Miami and Miami Beach. They control South Florida because they are very powerful there, like gangsters. And they are so over the top and so oppressive that they will not tolerate being offended even for a minute. And they are using emotional blackmail and guilt tripping and cry bullying to punish anybody that has a problem with them. Anybody that dares to make a joke at their expense or offend them, they're abusing their ill-gotten power through gangster cartel tactics to now penalize those people, punish those people. And the message is clear. You don't insult Jewish people in this city because we run this town. And we're in our feelings about a song and nobody offends us in this town. We run this place. That's the message. And that's bullshit. This is America. America's run by the people, of, by, and for the people, with God-given, constitutionally protected rights, and that goes above and beyond freedom from government persecution. It means a climate of free speech. So we should be free from intimidation. We should be free from cartels and gangsters. We should be free from this kind of ethnic, clannish, gangster-type behavior. The only reason anybody is talking about it is because we all know there's a double standard. You can't offend these people. They're the biggest cry bullies in the world. They have all this power. They're the most brutal, unscrupulous people in the world. They defend genocide. They defend brutality, the murder of women and children. But if you play a song that offends them for 30 seconds, they're going to cry and play the victim. We're the victim. We're powerless. We're hurt. Now we use all our power to punish everybody. It's so over the top and so ridiculous and woke. Nobody should stand for it. And honestly, Patrick Bet-David, you should know better. You're a grown man. You claim to be a patriot. You're a 47-year-old man. And you have this whole shtick, I'm an alpha male, I'm a businessman, I'm no nonsense, I'm not woke. You're buying into this crap? You're buying into this? What a joke. You should know better. Everybody should know better. And you should have your friends back. Andrew Tate is your friend. He's been on your show for years. He is being unfairly attacked. And he is forced to defend himself because he is vulnerable. Why are they going after him? Because he is vulnerable. Because he is a political target. He's vulnerable because he's in between jurisdictions. He's one of the most wanted men in the world. And you know as well as anybody else, this is completely over the top. It is an overreaction. It is purely political. It is not proportionate. It's not fair. It doesn't make sense. It is woke. And they're coming after your friend, and they're making him crawl on his belly because they know they got him by the balls. Because they know he's in trouble. And you, as a man, and as a patriot, as a guy, should understand that. And you should see that, and you should have your friends back. If you want to tell them behind the scenes, man to man, hey, that wasn't really a good idea, you've got a promising career, that was childish. You want to tell them that man to man out of concern? You do that behind the scenes. You do that off camera. In front of the camera, you present a united front. Your friend is under attack. It's bullshit. It is a crock of shit. You know it. Everybody knows it. These people are cry bullies. They're gangsters. It's a double standard. Everyone knows it. Everyone is sick of it. You should have your friends back. You should have sat them down and you should have said, you know what? It's trolling, it's dumb, it's childish, but it is unfair what they're saying about you. I know you. You're a good guy. You're not hateful. This is completely exaggerated. That should have been your response. That is what any real man would say. Anybody that is a true adult, a true guy, no-nonsense conservative should be able to see what this is, and it's a load of crap, and should have their friends back. And as a patriot, should say this is un-American to be crying and carrying on about all this stuff. What do you have to say about the ADL issued a statement? The club fired 3 people? The mayor of the city says this is a crisis? You don't got nothing to say about all that? You think that's normal? You think that's chill? Do you think that even makes sense? Is that normal? It's insane. Instead, we get a 15-minute struggle session. You let your emotional co-host, who is a Jew, and by the way, this little Jew, he offends everybody. He offends women. He offends Muslims. He offends black people. He's very politically incorrect. He came up to me when I was in your studio and said, yeah, we should let women vote, and we got a problem with black people, and we got to fight these Muslims. That's the kind of guy he is. When somebody plays a troll, controversial edgelord song and Jews are the butt of the joke, what does he say on your show? He says, and I quote, Florida is where racism goes to die. Oh, really? So we as big tough guys, big anti-woke, no-nonsense tough guys, listen up, youngster, I'm 50 years old. We can offend black people, we can offend women, we can offend Muslims, we can offend everybody. Oh, a Jew was the butt of a joke in a song? Oh, well, now we're anti-racist. Now it's not enough to be not racist, we must be anti-racist. If you sit at a table, if 10 people sit at a table with one racist, there's 11 racists. Oh, now we're woke, huh? And now you're going to let the aggrieved minority hijack the whole conversation. And he turns it into a struggle session. On and on and on and another thing and another thing. And you should have known better. And we don't play those games here. We don't play songs that offend Jews here. Really? This is a deficit of courage. This is a deficit of fucking balls. That's what this is. Where's the balls? Huh? And you know what's funny? Patrick Bet-David had Bibi Netanyahu on the show. I think they gave him less of a hard time about being a war criminal than Andrew Tate playing a song. Yeah, think of that. Benjamin Netanyahu is a wanted war criminal. He is charged by his own government for corruption, credibly accused of committing a genocide. You have him on the show, you barely press him about that. Andrew Tate comes on the show, you press him for 50 minutes because he was present while a song played in a nightclub in South Beach. Really? Does that make any sense to anybody? Does that even make sense? And it's on the men. Because you expect, especially the older guys, you expect the older guys to be able to call balls and strikes and say, you know what, this is woke garbage, this is PC, this is emotional, this is over the top. You expect grown men to be able to call out the nonsense, not to drink the Kool-Aid, not to buy into it. He's going to go and participate in this humiliation ritual. I'm watching this round table of guys that are lecturing me. You're childish, you're immature, you need to grow up, you shouldn't say these things. This is a round table. These guys are pushing 40, pushing 50, crying for 50 minutes about a song because that's what everyone's supposed to do because the Jews are mad. Really? Where's the courage? And that's really what it comes down to in this country. Everybody knows what is going on. But everybody is afraid to call these people out on their crap. That's really what it is. Everybody knows Netanyahu has us by the balls. Everybody knows AIPAC has us by the balls. Everybody knows there's this double standard. We all get offended all the time. We are all offended all the time. The sensibilities of every group, every ethnic group, every religious group, the young and the old, the men and the women, we're all offended. Everyone has a grievance. Everybody else has to suck it up. People are putting out rhetoric against any other group. Hey man, suck it up. Free country. It's not that big of a deal. Oh, these people get offended. It's literally an international incident invoking the Holocaust, etc. And just don't build your brand on fighting PC and woke garbage if you're going to give into it when it actually counts. So they did him really dirty. Everybody's blaming Andrew Tate. Andrew Tate's in a shitty situation. I don't envy him at all. He found himself in this unfortunate controversy that no one really could have seen coming. It's one of those things that just happens. Is it preventable? Yes, but then you can't really live your life. He can't really double down because he's in sort of a contentious situation. And his buddy should really have his back. His buddy should be firing on all cylinders. You don't have to defend the actual action, but defend your guy. They're going to give him a little talking to. He's in the principal's office. You should have left the car. Why'd you think that was okay? You should have turned the song off. Come on now, really? I mean, it reminds me literally of when I was in middle school. It reminds me of the kind of crap that you and your buddies would get called into the principal's office for in middle school. You're in there with your other 12-year-old buddies in the principal's office, and they're saying, who played the song? Well, Sneeko played it. Oh, Myron played the song. But why didn't you stop it? Why didn't you get up and turn the song off? Our code of conduct says we keep our hands and feet to ourselves, and we respect everyone at all times. I mean, really? These are 50-year-old men. 50-year-old anti-woke, hey, I'm a no-nonsense business guy. Get so real. Shame on you. Shame on you. You should know better. There is no excuse. But these guys are just like NPCs. They're just enforcers of the political order. You know? If all you care about is money, if that's all you care about is money, career, status, then you're going to get thrown for a loop by this stuff. Does anybody care enough to stand on business to defend the principle of the matter? That's the question. You know? His whole lecture was like, hey, Andrew Tate, you know, you make all this money. You know what Patrick told him? He said at this college basketball game or something, Trump is in the box with Dana White and Jake Paul. He goes, you belong in that room. So is that really what it's all about, man? It's all just about making money and posing for pictures in a box seat at a fucking sports game? That's what it's all about? Hey, man, I know you're living your life having fun and everything like that. But if you don't kiss the wall, if you don't wear your kippah and kiss the wall and pretend to give a shit about the Holocaust like it's not all a load of crap, you know, you'll never be able to bore a farm in the box with Trump. And everyone on social media is going to say, oh, geez, with Trump at the Indiana-Miami basketball game. Is that really what it's all about, for a bunch of douchebags to dap each other up? Oh, look. Dana White and this guy dapped each other up in the box at the big game. Come on, man. It's got to be bigger than that. It's got to be deeper than that. Does anyone even care enough to defend the principle of the matter? That's the difference. It's like, I get these lectures all the time. And me, I care about freedom. Freedom to live your life. Freedom to do what you think is right. Freedom to make jokes. Freedom to say what you want. Yeah, go ahead. Fucking cancel me. Because at the end of the day, you could be very rich and have a lot of status, but if you're living in fear of this kind of stuff, you can't go out with the guys and make a little joke without living in fear. You know, are you really free? Are you all that powerful? Or are you just kind of like the biggest slave on the plantation? Are you just being paraded around and dressed up as regime puppets for the puppet show? Oh, here we go. Here's this one and this one, and here they are in the box. And we dress them in the finest linens and all that. We furnish them with a lavish house and lifestyle, and these are your appointed leaders. I mean, yeah, count me out of that whole thing. But that was the appeal. That was sort of the funny thing. He goes, you belong in that room with those guys. Okay, so that's what it's all about, I guess, huh? Gotta dap each other up. It's just infuriating that this is what the country's come to. And like I said, it's because of fear, cowardice. People care about all the wrong things. Where's solidarity? It should have been, everybody should have stood shoulder to shoulder and said, you know what? Yeah, we played the song. Fuck off. Not a big deal. Instead, you get, everybody's, not everybody, but people pointing the finger and coming after each other. You get this struggle session, really, on Valuetainment. I'm sorry, what is this, Rachel Maddow? What are we on The View? I mean, it's indistinguishable. If you go and play that song at the club, you're getting the same treatment on Valuetainment as you are on The View. You go on The View with a bunch of broads, and they're going to say, what made you think that's okay? Isn't that offensive? Oh, my gosh, that's terrible. These people are terrible. You're the company you keep. I mean, it would be the same thing, wouldn't it be? A bunch of shrieking harpies who would be indistinguishable from the club. We're in the club smoking cigars, Blue Label only. You know, we're all big shots. Well, why don't you play this song? Come on now. Are we better than that? Gosh. You know, but nobody has the courage in their convictions to just say, I don't feel guilty. I don't feel ashamed. This is stupid. This is ridiculous. This disgusting freak that is the mayor of Miami Beach. Just look at him. Just look at him. The mayor of Miami Beach is a disgusting, ugly freak. And so are the city commissioners. They're disgusting, ugly freaks. And they don't even belong here. You want to know where the mayor of Miami Beach comes from? He left his position at the SEC because he was constantly being accused of being a pervert. So that was Plan B. Plan B, after you get chased out for being accused of being a pervert, is then you go and you run Miami Beach on behalf of the Jewish interest there with the other commissioners that are children of Israelis. And we bow to them. He's walking around the city in his kippah. You're not welcome here. Really? Boy. Come on. And they got this guy on the show, guy's pushing 50, no wife, no kids, talking about, I'm the coolest guy in the club. Bro, you're 50. There are no 50-year-olds that are the coolest guy in the club. I hate to break it to you, hotshot. Jew boy. I take you to the coolest clubs. I'm up all night. Okay, you're an unmarried, childless, 50-year-old man wearing sneakers with your suit. You think you're a big shot because you're in the club? Yeah, you're the biggest shot 50-year-old in South Beach. Seriously, grow the fuck up, all of you. Enough. That's really the rallying cry. Enough. We're sick of all of it. Like, I watched that interview, and it charges me all up all over again. You know, people say I'm moderating, I strike a conciliatory tone. I see stuff like that, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's why. That's why we went down this path, because I will never bow to that kind of nonsense. Sorry for playing a song. I should have known better. I should have turned it off. I should have left. A song. Crazy. But you know, people are cowed and they are hurted and they will do anything under social pressure. That's a true test. So that's my little add-on to last night. I actually saw the thing, and I gotta say, direct your fire at them. Andrew Tate's in a bad situation. I know people don't like what he said. I don't love what he said. But understand the circumstances he's in. If he makes a wrong move, they put him in a cage. They put him in solitary for 10 years. Okay, he goes to the United Kingdom. He's extradited. They put him under the jail. He's treated like a terrorist. Okay? I get it. He didn't even apologize. He didn't double down. He didn't go 10 toes down and everything like that. He didn't really apologize, though. And they got him really under the gun. It's Patrick Bet-David's fault for subjecting him to that. He should have had his back. No loyalty. Every man for themselves. Crabs in a barrel. So, I'll stick up for Tate. I'll stick up for Sneako. And you know what? You know, the Tates are trying to blame Sneako. It wasn't just Sneako. Myron played the song too. Fresh helped him. Sneako put it on in the car. Clav helped him. I loved it. You know, we all played a part in this. We were all there. And the whole thing is dumb. So everybody should be united and say, this is ridiculous. This is stupid. You're making a bigger deal out of it than it is, but instead it's going to devolve into, you know, people are going to accept the judgment from our Jewish overlords. We're all going to die because of the song. Give me a break. Anyway, I don't want to spend too much time on that, but I got to defend my guys here. I love the Tates, love Sneako, love Myron, the rest of them, you know. And can niggas live? Can a nigga live? Can we go to the club and play a song that might offend some people without it turning into an international controversy? So, and I would love to hear the rebuttal. What's the rebuttal to that? You buy into this shit? We gotta stop being fooled and blackmailed in this way. say, well, they did play that song. Okay, so what? The Jews do provocative things all the time. All the time. Anyway, we're going to move on. We're going to get into this stuff about the Trump administration. Our featured story for tonight is about this Greenland deal. And you know what? It's very disappointing. As you know, I've been very critical of the Trump administration. I've been very critical of the personnel, the policies, Trump's refusal to follow through on anything. And as you know, I got very excited about this Greenland deal. And I went into it in great detail, I believe on Thursday or Friday. And I said that the reason I love the idea of taking Greenland by force or whatever, but basically expanding America, growing America, I said is because this is what gets Americans excited about the future. The arrow is pointing up, expansion, increasing. That America is dreaming, America's getting bigger. I like this conceptually. The idea that there is still history to be resolved here, that we're still a part of history. I like this. And so when Trump was pushing this so hard the past couple of weeks that we were going to go in and take Greenland and have to have it and we're going to get it and we'll stop at nothing, I really supported it. And I made my case very systematically on Friday. And I will restate it very briefly now. The reason that we need to actually have Greenland, well, let's start with why Greenland is strategically important. Greenland is a part of the Western Hemisphere. Greenland is what connects North America to the other NATO countries. If you look at it, it is on the northwest frontier is what they call it. It's on our northern frontier. It borders Canada, Iceland. Iceland borders the United Kingdom. The United Kingdom borders France and Denmark. Greenland connects this entire Atlantic alliance. This is very strategically important territory. And as the northern ice sheet melts, the Arctic Ocean becomes an area of strategic competition. All kinds of things are happening there. Commercial shipping routes, submarines are moving through there, potentially naval vessels are moving through there. And if we engage China or Russia with strategic weapons, ICBMs will be flying over Greenland. They can be detected and intercepted over Greenland and Canada. So, long story short, Greenland is very important territory, controlling choke points between Greenland and Iceland, Iceland and the UK, controlling these future shipping routes in the Arctic Ocean, situated in the middle, 2,000 kilometers from DC, 2,000 kilometers from Moscow, in the middle of that trajectory from where ICBMs will strike the United States. This is why it's strategically important. Maybe you could say succinctly because of its proximity. It's close to us. It's close to Canada. It's close to us. If someone gains control of Greenland, they gain access to Canada. They gain access to Canada. They gain access to the United States. And so it's comparable in value to Alaska. It's comparable in value to Canada, Puerto Rico, Cuba. It's very valuable strategically. Now, why do we absolutely have to have it? The reason is the northern ice sheet is going to melt over a period of decades. It will take time for these developments to come to bear. It's not a strategically important region now, not as much as it will be in the future. And a lot of things might change in these intervening 10, 20, or 30 years. Leadership changes in the United States, in Canada, in Europe. The balance of power will change between the United States and China. The alignment will change, perhaps, between Europe and the United States, between Russia and China, between China and East Asian countries. Nothing is guaranteed. And so when this strategic area becomes active in a few decades or a couple of decades, as long as that territory is controlled by Denmark, well, Denmark will never be able to defend this territory, ever, from China or Russia or the United States. Any interested great power who would need it, and it's a zero-sum game, Denmark is never going to be able to repel an incursion. All of Europe will never be able to repel an incursion. And Russia and China know that. And so in 10, 20, 30 years, this is very vital territory. The region becomes active. Denmark and Europe cannot repel an invasion. China and Russia might test the boundaries here. And they might try to gain a foothold. Who knows how? By investment, some ruse that there's a commercial project. Maybe they land some troops there. Who knows? And once it's done, it can't be undone. Once they gain the foothold, it can't be undone. And you can't scramble the troops there. China or Russia will have already established a beachhead. And we're not going to go to war over Danish territory. We're not going to go to war over a semi-autonomous Danish province or something, some protectorate. It's questionable whether those Article 5 protections will be invoked. And so then we just lose it. Now, what makes it viable for China or Russia to test the waters? What makes it viable for China and Russia to test and see if that's a tripwire? What makes it viable is that it is technically sovereign Danish territory. And as long as all that shoreline and all that territory is technically Danish, they know that the United States is less than likely to defend it. Compare that to California. China knows that if they set foot in California, it's fucking war. You're in a war. You're in a shooting war. You're in a full-scale total war until that is undone. Why? Because it's U.S. soil. It is sovereign U.S. soil. If you overstep there, that is a violation. It's an act of war. Everyone knows that. China knows that. We know that. We know they know that. They know we know they know that. Everyone knows that. And everyone knows that we'd be perfectly justified in going to war. So what's the difference? Well, if Greenland is our territory, they won't test it. They won't push. They won't try. Because they know that if they set foot in Greenland, it's war. So there's a very black and white binary. If you're not in Greenland, you're not at war. If we invade Greenland, it's on. That's the difference. And it doesn't matter if it's commercial, if it's espionage, if it's an overt military action. They know if they land there, it's on because it's U.S. clay. If it's a Danish protectorate, well, then, who knows? Would the United States go to war with a nuclear great power to protect a Danish? It's not even Danish territory. It's a semi-autonomous part of the Danish kingdom. Would the United States go to war with China over that? We don't know. We don't know. China doesn't know. We don't know what they're thinking. They don't know what we're thinking. And that's where the testing comes in. That's where the testing comes in. That's where they start to encroach gradually, incrementally. That's where they might do something minor, an incursion, and they'll have plausible deniability, and it is not an automatic tripwire-activated act of war. That's why we have to have it. That's why there is no alternative to literally owning it. Sovereignty is the key word. If it's anything short of that, they're going to try something. And that could mean anything. That could mean they fund a political party that breaks from Denmark. That means they could send Chinese spies and do military surveillance or sabotage. That means, who knows, maybe they have some illicit agreement, some kind of private contract, circumstances change, or they just land a boat there. Okay? That's the difference. That's why we need it. And so when Trump said that, I was totally on the same page. I said, he's right. Maybe we don't need it today, but we absolutely will need it by 2050. And we need it to be our territory. And it is a small price to pay, whatever it was, $700 billion now, to have it in the future. Because there's only so many islands and continents. They're not making any more of them. And the great power strategic competition is only intensifying. This is an area which will become active in the coming decades. It would be absolutely essential to have it. It would be no different than if, we could have Japan as a colony, or like the Philippines still as a colony or something. Like there's no price tag on it. It's sort of invaluable. So Trump said that, and I was in complete agreement. I said he totally sees the big picture here. I don't know how anyone can even make the case that that has something to do with Israel. People said that's neocon. Okay, so now, like, everything is neocon, by the way. You know, it sort of exists on a spectrum. If we go to war with Iran, obviously that is a war for Israel. You know, that is like a 1.0 on the spectrum. That is the clearest cut, no uncertainty. That is a straight up war for Israel. If Israel didn't exist, it wouldn't happen. If Israel didn't exist, we would actually have good relations. We're going to war because of them, in their neighborhood, for their interest, against their number one adversary. Like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts.
You got the pickup point on your GPS?
Then you get maybe
okay. All looks cool
closer to the
here.
other side of the spectrum, Venezuela. And you go, okay, this is in our neighborhood. It's a dictator who's anti-American. He is a socialist. They have these resources that we need. It's a staging ground for our enemies like China and Russia. That being said, Maduro is somewhat supportive of Palestine. So you can say, well, Israel's like, they're not unhappy about it. They might be a little happy about this. Then you have Greenland, which is like a 0.1. And it's like, so it's not even a war at all. There's not going to be any fighting. There's no population there. It's north of Canada. It's a territory that no one really cares about. They're not anti-Israel at all. They're not pro-Palestine. They're kind of just nothing. And we're taking it, and it'll make us richer. And people are saying, yeah, but like, you know, Ronald Lauder has some projects. Yeah, I mean, the American economy is run by Jews. So, you know, like anything that America does is going to involve the Jews that control America. I see some people saying that. It's like, okay, so how does that even factor in? But anyway, we're on the same page. Trump goes to Davos. He goes to the World Economic Forum today in Switzerland. He negotiates with the NATO Secretary General, the other European counterparts, and they come out of the meeting with a framework agreement. And it involves that we will not own Greenland at all. We won't own it. It won't be ours. We don't know the details of it, but the framework that we have so far is that it might mirror, according to some reports, a security agreement between the UK and Cyprus. Some parts of the island are technically sovereign British territory where they have military installations. And so I guess it's an indefinite deal. The United States will be able to veto investment from other countries. We'll be able to expand our military footprint there. And parts of Greenland, which will become military installations, will be sovereign U.S. territory. That's what the framework agreement is looking like. And this is a story from the Washington Post. It says, quote, President Trump said Wednesday that he had reached the framework of a deal on Greenland, backing away from his earlier demands to acquire the Danish territory. Declaring that he would scrap planned tariffs on Europe, Trump said talks were underway with NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte about bolstering security in the Arctic. The president offered few details, but the deal was likely to fall far short of the full sovereign possession that he previously demanded. Denmark's top diplomat said the United States would not own the island. Trump removing the tariff threat takes the heat out, said the Danish foreign minister. He said the United States will not own Greenland. That is a red line. So for them, they say we refuse any deal where the U.S. is going to take the territory. Discussions will focus instead on ensuring Arctic security, said the NATO spokeswoman Alison Hart, including talks among Denmark, Greenland, and the United States, aimed at ensuring that Russia and China never gain a foothold economically or militarily in Greenland. Shortly after his remarks concluded, the European Parliament suspended ratification of the EU-US trade deal that Trump reached last year. In a statement, the chair of the Legislative Trade Committee said U.S. threats against Denmark and Greenland had left lawmakers no choice. The pending trade deal would have eliminated European tariffs on all U.S. industrial goods while leaving products from Europe facing a 15% tariff imposed by Trump, a structure that analysts said favored Washington. The European Union is the nation's largest trading partner. Total two-way goods trade each year is roughly $1 trillion. On the overnight flight to Davos, White House Chief of Staff Susie Wiles told reporters that Trump will travel next week to Iowa for a speech tailored to energy and the economy, and will make weekly trips ahead of the midterm elections. Right? So this is the framework agreement. And what we can say with certainty is that Trump has chickened out. As always, Trump always chickens out. Trump chickened out. He said for weeks, he said all year, he said, we're going to have it. We're going to take it. It's got to be ours. We need it. There's no alternative. We simply have to have it. He said, we'll take it by force. We will do anything. There's no limit to what I'll do to take Greenland. He's posting on social media, trolling maps of Greenland with the U.S. flag on it. Then he goes to Europe and says, you know what, never mind. We have a great deal. And we're never going to have it, and we don't have it, but the deal says we're going to have a base there. And we're not going to let China and Russia gain a foothold. Hey, guess what? That was already the arrangement. That's been the arrangement for 70 years. That we can do what we want there. We have military installations. We got troops there. That has been the arrangement for almost a century. And we don't even have the agreement. It's not even in writing. It's not signed. And Trump comes away and says, okay, well, you know, we got this framework, and this is terrific, and so on. And here's what happened, fundamentally. Trump has no strategy. It's all tactics. All he knows how to do is talk on social media, give speeches, issue these maximalist threats. And what this is meant to do is keep his opponents off balance. So, example, when it comes to Greenland, Trump comes out and says, I'm going to invade Greenland. We just have to have it. This makes the Europeans nervous. It makes Greenland and Denmark and France and Germany and NATO nervous. And they start to panic, and they start to talk amongst themselves. That's all Trump knows how to do, is stir the pot. All he knows how to do is to push them off balance, make them uncertain, make them insecure, so that they start to talk, so that there is some activity, and then maybe there's a starting position in a negotiation. And they come back and they say, well, we're not going to do it. And then he ups the ante. Oh, you're not going to sell me Greenland? Well, then we'll invade. And they go back and talk amongst themselves. Well, we can never defend Greenland. Well, we can never do anything. We don't want to fight with the United States. Well, what happens when they call his bluff? He keeps upping the ante. Well, we're going to have it. Well, we're going to buy it. We're preparing an offer. If you don't accept the offer, we're going to invade. We need it. You can offer us concessions, but we need to own it. Well, what happens when Europe calls his bluff? And they say, if you're invading Greenland, we're deploying troops there. We're putting French and Norwegian and German troops there, and Canada's sending troops, and we're not going to let you take it, and we'll all leave NATO, and the trade agreement is off. What happens when they call your bluff against these maximalist threats, against these scare tactics? Bluster, bluffing, issuing empty threats. What happens when they call you on it and they say, okay, time to show your cards. Let's see what you got. They put the troops out there. They say, we won't let you take it. The Danish, or rather the Greenlanders, host a giant rally in the capital. What happens when Trump goes to Davos and says, well, we need to have it? Trump backs down. He folds. He says, yeah, you're right. We can't invade Greenland. Yeah, you're right. We're not going to invade. I was making that up. I'm full of shit. We weren't going to invade Greenland. We were never prepared to do that. We're not going to potentially be fighting Europeans in Greenland. We're not going to break apart NATO. No, we're actually not going to do all that. We lied. We'll take your first offer. That's the story of the Trump administration. What happened is that, like with everything, he issued the threat, and like I said, that's the tactic to stir the pot. And instead of buckling to the demands, all he did was galvanize opposition. By trying to bully them, the Europeans rose to the occasion and said, you know what, you're faking it, you're bluffing, and we don't want you to take Greenland, we're not going to get bitched out by you. And they actually rallied. It had the opposite effect. He thought that they would crumble. He thought that they would falter. They rallied. And they stood unified, and they said, you know what? No, you can't touch Greenland. And you want to come and try and take it? Well, we're going to up the ante too. So we actually rallied. Now it's a red line. Maybe they would have negotiated before. Who knows? Who knows if the United States could have prepared a better offer, and who knows what that looks like. But if they did it more diplomatically, who knows what could have been possible. But all he did was stir the pot. It had the opposite of the intended effect. By insulting the Europeans, by daring them, he galvanized them rather than force them to cave. And when they stood up to Trump, now it has become non-viable. Now they're saying, no, our red line is you can't own it. You said your red line is owning it. Well, now our red line is you can't own it. And you can't invade it without overturning the whole world order, practically. Macron goes back to Paris and says, we need more investment from China. Canada makes a trade deal and says, we're going to take 70,000 EVs from China. European Union gets together and says that trade agreement is off. Okay, so they called your bluff. You can't do it. Now it's over. And now we get no Greenland. Now we're in the same spot that we were before. This is the story over and over again. And I'm really disappointed because that was the whole appeal of Trump, is that he's supposed to be the art of the deal. The deal maker in chief. I know what I'm doing. I'm more competent. We have stupid negotiators, this, that, and the other. I mean, where is that here? We don't have it. We're not getting it. So, this was the one thing that I was actually excited about. I was excited about taking Venezuela, taking Cuba, taking Greenland, Canada. I was excited about that. Now, we don't even have it. Trump chickens out on literally everything. So let's just stop with the LARP. Trump is not Caesar. Trump is not some kind of world historical figure in that way. It's all a ruse. It's all vaporware. So that's that. I want to move on, though. I want to talk a little bit about what's happening in Iran. Now, you want to talk about a neocon war. This fits the bill. While everybody was complaining about Venezuela and Greenland, there's actually a real war with Iran that is brewing. And we'll talk about this briefly, because I've been live for an hour already. Then we'll take the super chats. So as you know, a couple of weeks ago, there was a lot of talk about the United States returning to Iran in light of anti-government protests that took over the western part of the country. Media was embellishing the story. There were calls for the United States to intervene, calls by Israel, by the Gulf countries, by the protesters. And we could talk about what that really entails and what that really means. But there was this pressure for the United States to go into Iran, bomb the Iranian regime, save the protesters, and topple Iran's government. What happened, as a matter of fact, is that we did not have the requisite force package to intervene during the protests. We just didn't have enough boats. Not enough boats, not enough planes, not enough missile defense. At the peak of the protests, one, they did not come close to toppling the government, which is a huge problem for this plan. Two, we didn't have enough guns there, even if we wanted to. Even if the protesters were getting ready to topple the government, and they weren't, but even if they were, we didn't have enough guns in the region to finish the job. So they pushed it back. So the Israelis and the Gulf countries, Saudis, Qataris, Turkey also, they pleaded with the administration. They said, actually, you know what? Don't go in. They said because the protests are effectively crushed. It's over. It's going in the wrong direction for them. And two, they said, if you go to war with Iran, if you initiate hostilities, you will not be able to defend your own position and Israel's. You bomb Iran, you don't topple the government, that's one. Two, they're going to fire back, and when they do, you're not going to have enough air power, sea power, to be able to shoot down every drone and ballistic missile that Iran inevitably launches at U.S. bases and at Israel. So Israel and these Muslim countries are pleading with Trump, not yet, later. And that's what the Trump administration does. It calls off the strikes and then immediately starts sending this massive force package to the Middle East. A carrier strike group starts moving to the Middle East. That's an aircraft carrier equipped with all kinds of fighter aircraft. and it's also destroyers, which have missile defense systems, radar systems on there. And we start sending military transport aircraft, number of other things over there. Literally saying, all right, just wait a little bit. Help is on the way. We're going to get in position, and then we'll go to war with Iran. Well, here's the big story from yesterday. Wall Street Journal is reporting that Trump is asking his aides for decisive options to confront Iran. Now, for those that don't know what that translates into, when he says he wants a decisive military option, he's saying, I want to do something to Iran that topples their government. That's what decisive means. It doesn't mean we're degrading their abilities. It doesn't mean we're diminishing their abilities. It doesn't mean we're attacking a strategic target. When he says decisive, it means we are going to defeat them completely. There'll be a different government. So the Trump administration is now openly talking about regime change and has been for the past couple of weeks. This is a story from the Journal. It says, quote, after pulling back from strikes on Iran last week, President Trump is still pressing aides for what he calls decisive military options, as Iran appears to have tightened its control of the country. The discussions are happening while the United States sends an aircraft carrier and jet fighters to the Middle East. Those deployments may be just the start of a broader buildup that would give Trump the firepower to strike Iran should he choose to use them. Trump has repeatedly used the word decisive when describing what effect he would like any action to have on Iran. He has yet to order the strikes, and what he ultimately will decide remains unclear. But the continued discussions show Trump has not ruled out punishing Tehran for killing protesters in the midst of Iran's spiraling economy. Asked Tuesday about whether the U.S. may yet strike Iran, Trump noted that the regime heeded Washington's warnings and canceled plans to execute 837 people last week. He said, we're going to have to see what happens. The larger question for the administration is whether a foreign regime can be dislodged through air power alone. The White House must also grapple with whether the administration is prepared to carry out a sustained military campaign that might last weeks or months should protesters again take to the streets and appeal to Trump for protection. David Deptula, a retired Air Force lieutenant general who played a key role in Desert Storm, said, there are things military options can and cannot do during a human rights crackdown. You can deter some regime behavior on the margins. If you are really signing up to change the regime, that will require significant air and ground operations. Air and ground. As the administration discusses next steps, the U.S. military has rushed more assets to the Middle East. U.S. F-15E jet fighters landed Sunday in Jordan. The aircraft carrier USS Abraham Lincoln and its strike group, which includes destroyers, F-35s, and other jet fighters and electronic jamming aircraft, were spotted by maritime traffic trackers sailing west from South China Sea toward the Persian Gulf. Additional air defenses will be brought to the region, including Patriot and THAAD anti-missile systems, which would be essential for fending off any Iranian counterblows. As the administration weighed a potential strike on Iran last week, the U.S. did not have enough military assets or air defenses to launch a sustained bombing operation or defend American troops and allies from an Iranian retaliation. So, this is the plan. They're moving a carrier strike group in. They're moving military hardware into the region because we are going to war with Iran. And I told you, in the last week of December, Netanyahu came to Mar-a-Lago and said, we want to go back to war. We want to go back to war in Gaza. We want to go back to war in Lebanon. We want to go to war in Iran. Netanyahu said they're building up their missile infrastructure all over again. It threatens us. They might preemptively strike us. We're seeking the green light to hit them first. A week later, you get a run on the bank. One of Iran's largest state-owned banks crashes. The currency crashes. Everybody takes to the streets, imploring Trump to help. And let me tell you something about those protests, because it can't be said enough. Those are not protests. That's an armed insurrection, okay? When you see the Women's March, that's a protest. When the women Women's March happens in the United States and all these women take to the streets with signs and hats, that's a protest. Those are Americans organizing on social media with their grievances. They assemble in public, they get their message out, they go home. That's a protest. This is an armed uprising. There are reports coming out of this country from the Financial Times, from other sources. Eyewitnesses on the ground in Iran said that there are men dressed in all black, armed with light weapons, meaning assault rifles, automatic weapons, and they were attacking government facilities. That's not a protest. Okay? And where are the protests occurring? They're happening in western Iran, in Kurdish majority provinces. Well, the Kurds are a transnational group. You've got Kurds in Turkey, in Syria, in Iraq. And all of these territories have a relative degree of autonomy. In Syria, there's a major clash right now because the new Syrian government in Damascus is trying to take back control over Syrian Kurdistan, which they call Rohingya, I think. Or maybe I'm confusing that with those Muslims. It sounds something like that. But there's this territory, I think that is the Rohingya Muslims in Myanmar. It has a name I think it's like Rojava or something like that. It has a similar sounding name. Northeastern Syria is Kurdish Syria. It's controlled by the Syrian Democratic Forces. That is a Kurdish force. In Iraq, in northern Iraq, in Iraqi Kurdistan, they have autonomy from the government in Baghdad. They have their own parliament. They have their own security force. Are you seeing a pattern? The government in Baghdad does not have control over Iraqi Kurds. The government in Damascus does not have control over Syrian Kurds. What does that mean? The Kurds are also allies of the United States and Israel. The United States and Israel armed the Kurds and fought alongside the Kurds in their war against ISIS, which took place in Iraq and Syria, obviously. And so the CIA and Israeli intelligence, the Pentagon and the Israeli military, they have a line-in to the Kurds in Iraq and Syria. The United States just finished its withdrawal of U.S. soldiers from Iraq. That's not entirely true. They just moved them to their base in Iraqi Kurdistan. You see? So, you have these protests in Iran. They're very bloody, very deadly. Eyewitnesses on the ground say, well, the protesters are dressed in all black, they have machine guns, they're attacking government buildings, they appear to be coordinated. All the protests are happening in western Iran, which are Kurdish majority areas. And they share a border with these semi-autonomous Kurdish territories in Iraq and Syria, where those semi-autonomous governments maintain military and intelligence ties with the U.S. and Israel and have been armed by both countries for over a decade. So what do you think is happening here? Well, it's obvious. This isn't a protest, this is an invasion. This is not a spontaneous uprising of the people because they're mad about the economy. No, this is a CIA and Mossad-backed invasion. They're clearly trafficking weapons to Iranian Kurds, probably through Iraq. They're coordinating using Starlink internet from Elon. They're coordinating with the help of the CIA, maybe trained by them. Maybe you got State Department NGOs on the ground. You got CIA on the ground. Maybe you have some of these mercenaries on the ground, some PMC, some private military corporation. And that's not a spontaneous demonstration. Oh, the people are crying out. It's a bottom-up revolution. No, this is a provocation. That is an armed insurrection backed by the West. And I told you the other week, this is how this works. So the United States has been operating in this territory for a long time. Funneling weapons, training people, organizing them, facilitating the cross-border transfer, whatever. They give them the green light. All right, it's go time. Uprising. These Kurds storm government buildings in western Iranian provinces. That's where the action is happening.
I'll get there as soon as I can.
Western media starts to report. New York Times, Washington Post, The Journal, CBS News, they say, oh my gosh, Iran's security forces killing all the protesters. Well, the protesters are armed insurrectionists. The protesters, it's an armed uprising with foreign backing. So yeah, they're killing them. Yeah, they're shooting at them. It's not like they're shooting at the Million Man March in D.C. It's not like they're shooting at, they're walking across the bridge like MLK. They're shooting at what is effectively foreign mercenaries. But the Western media does their part, and they embellish it, and they say, deadliest crackdown, brutal crackdown, indiscriminate killing, screams, and people crying out, body bags line the street. It's the worst violence ever. This is then amplified on social media. And then the opinion makers come in and they say, well, you know what? It would be better if Iran was a democracy. It would be better if Iran was a monarchy. Well, wouldn't it be better if the Islamic Republic fell? On the right and the left. On the left for the human rights. On the right because they say it's based. We're bringing the Shah back. And, this is an Islamist government and so on. And then this call for action makes its way up to the White House. And now Trump is being told, the protesters need your help. Amazing. So Western intelligence and military backs an uprising. Iran puts it down. Western media embellishes it and floods the zone on social media. They need your help. So now Trump is going to go in and help the protesters, bombing them with F-35s, bombing their internal security service, which protects the regime from these armed protesters. Bombing Iran's missiles as Israel wanted so that Iran can't retaliate. And what this does, ultimately, and let me tell you, here's what happens next. This doesn't topple the regime, okay? This is what is happening. Now, let me tell you something about regime change. It does not happen from a popular uprising alone. Okay, we've seen this. How did the government in Afghanistan fall? We invaded them on the ground with 100,000 troops, airstrikes, overwhelming force. How did we defeat the regime of Saddam Hussein? 300,000 coalition troops on the ground, shock and awe, airstrikes, superior intelligence, you name it. How did we topple Assad? 15 years of civil war. U.S. troops on the ground, backing the Peshmerga, backing the Kurds, backing al-Nusra, all these other groups that became ISIS, airstrikes. And it took 15 years to dislodge Assad. Now, Iran is a country of 90 million people. This is multiples, many multiples the size of Iraq, the size of Syria. You think a few airstrikes are going to dislodge this government? The country's a fortress. The country's a fortress. It's all mountains. And they built cities underground, not primitive tunnels, cities underground that build ballistic missiles, that enrich uranium, that do all these things. Fortresses underground. They have a 1 million-man army. They have the Revolutionary Guard. They've got air defenses, Air Force, Navy. They've got proxies. You think a few airstrikes and some street protests are going to topple the government? It won't happen. You need a rival group that can rally the country to its side. You're going to need a ground force, whether that's local or it's foreign-backed. You're going to need a sustained air campaign. A lot is going to go into this. This is not something where you go in, get out, you topple the government. This is a big commitment. And while you're going to war with Iran, they're going to be they're lobbing missiles at everybody. They have ballistic missiles that you can't intercept, and they're going to be launching them at Israel. They're going to be launching them at U.S. bases. They'll be launching them, who knows, at every country that participates in this. Saudi Arabia, the Emirates, Qatar, who knows? And those countries know it. They're going to stay out of it. So what does this do for our allies? If we go into Iran and we're bombing them and this creates all this instability, Saudi Arabia is being pushed into the arms of Pakistan, Turkey, Iran. It's pushing all these other countries away, causing problems. And yet this is what we're signing ourselves up for. We're sending over a carrier strike group so that we can do a sustained air campaign. And when those forces arrive, on January 23rd or 26th, I think is the window, I think the earliest that this USS Abraham Lincoln arrives is on the 26th. When this force package arrives in the next week, maybe you're going to get more protests. Trump is implementing these secondary sanctions, 25% tariff on any country that does business with Iran. This Southern Spear operation is taking these oil tankers, many of them comprise Iran's shadow fleet. So we're increasing the pressure on their economy. Surely the CIA is active. Surely Mossad is active. We're moving a carrier strike group into position. Don't be surprised in February when you see our maximum pressure campaign will yield more unrest. And then we'll be there, guns loaded, locked and loaded, to go in and answer the call of the protesters. And bomb the besieged, bomb the missiles, bomb government positions. And do you know what will happen? It will not be decisive. There will be nothing decisive about it. You know what's going to happen? It will turn into Syria. We will be able to degrade the government. We can weaken the government. We won't destroy it. And all that will happen is we'll render Iran defenseless, take out their anti-aircraft, their air force, their missiles. And once they are defenseless and vulnerable, then it becomes an open airspace for Israel and the United States to bomb at their leisure. That is effectively what happened in Syria. That is what they want to happen here. They don't need to seek decisive action. They don't need to destroy Iran's entire governance structure. They need to render Iran defenseless so that Israel can just have free reign in that airspace, so that the jets can fly over Iraq all the time. And they can fly over Syria. Once this Jolani government makes peace with the Kurds there, they'll fly through Syria, through Syrian Kurdistan, Iraqi Kurdistan, and it will be a highway dropping bombs on Iran indefinitely as an armed conflict takes shape. And I imagine the country just destabilizes. And maybe Iranian Kurdistan becomes a base of operations, and the breakaway Balochistan province becomes a theater of conflict. Maybe it looks something like this. And this is Israel's endgame ultimately, is to decisively confront Iran, knock them off. They don't care if it takes 5 years, 10 years. They want to defeat Iran. They want regime change in Iran. They want to install a friendly government. At the minimum, they cannot have Iran projecting power in the region as an Islamist middle power. That's what it is, and that's what we're going for. And this, John Mearsheimer said it, and it went viral on, I think, Piers Morgan. He said, look, Iran is an Israel problem. They are not an America problem. The U.S. would have good relations with Iran if it were not for Israel, and that is 100% true. And we are absolutely shooting ourselves in the foot here. There's another scenario where the United States brings together Turkey, Syria, Iran, Saudi Arabia, Pakistan.
I'm on the clock. What you want? Some
and
wheels?
we control this region with these Muslim countries that are all coming back together. But instead, you might have, they're talking about a strategic mutual defense treaty between Pakistan and Saudi Arabia. Turkey wants to be in on it. They're creating a Muslim NATO without us, probably aimed at Israel. It is backed up by Pakistan, which is China's Israel. Pakistan is China's closest ally. So we're sort of giving the Middle East to China. We're giving it to Israel. We're giving it to China. The Emiratis are forming relations with India. They're putting stuff in Sudan, in Somaliland. They're working with Israel. That this is what is emerging in the Middle East. None of it good for the United States. So, you know, people call me a neocon now. Look, I support intervention in our hemisphere. I support intervention so we can get oil, drive China out of our hemisphere, get Greenland, put a Golden Dome early warning system in Greenland. Yes, that is America first. That has to do with our security. A protracted regime change war against Iran, keep us out. As a matter of fact, prevent it. Trump should use his clout and leverage to bring Israel back from the brink. Stop Israel. That's what we need to do here. That's America first. Throw our weight around against Israel and get Europe to help. Israel's totally isolated from everybody. China's making Israel critical statements. The Muslim world is anti-Israel now. Even their relationship with Egypt is fraying. Their relationship with Europe is destroyed. Get together with Europe and the Muslim countries. Put those sanctions on Israel. You want to put a 25% tariff on Iran? Put a 25% tariff on Israel. Say stop. Stop in Gaza, stop in Lebanon, stop in Iran. What is in our interest is to stabilize the region. But instead, we're going to war again. We're literally doing it all over again. And I would bet you a lot of money that this is going to happen before the end of March. As they want to get this party started before the midterms. And the midterms are really going to kick off, at the end of spring, beginning of summer. So if I had to guess, I would say before the end of March, we're back. Back there. And it's very clear. Trump is putting all these assets out there, and they're going there for action. There's not going to be a nuclear agreement. It won't happen. Because even if somehow Trump was able to re-engage Iran on a diplomatic level, as he threatened to do about a week ago, Israel would sabotage it just as they did a year ago. So that seems to be where we are inevitably headed. You want to talk about a war for Israel? It doesn't get much more cut and dry than that. And they're going to try to spin it every way. Get prepared for that. They'll talk about a based Iranian monarchy. They'll talk about the Shah. They'll say, well, it's over for Iran anyway. Wouldn't it be better if we got rid of this Islamic government? They'll say you're defending the Ayatollah. Get ready for that, because that's the next operation they're going to run. And then they'll pretend like it's a done deal. Well, the people of Iran are just done. That's what they're going to say. They'll say, well, the people of Iran crave liberalism. No one believes in the regime anymore. No one's Muslim anymore. Whether we did anything or not, this Islamic revolutionary government is coming down anyway. We might as well support it. We might as well push it in. Like, that is how they're going to talk about it. That's how they've been talking about it, and it's a lie. Okay? It is a lie. The regime is entrenched. The regime is strong. They've got their economic problems. So does Cuba. Cuba has had economic problems for half of a century. They're not on the verge of collapse. They are, because we're going to push them over. North Korea. They eat rabbits. They eat rats in North Korea. They're not on the verge of collapse. It's a citadel. It's a fortress. People say, oh, well, the people of Iran are mad because the economy's bad. Dude, that happens all the time, okay? The only thing that topples an entrenched regime is if there is a violent opposing force that can rally more people, has weapons, fights a fucking war, and wins. That is what dislodges regimes. Not popular dissatisfaction, not the people have had enough, not a couple of airstrikes. Certainly would help. So people are acting like, oh, it's a done deal. Iran's ready for democracy. Like, these people are they've had it. Where have we heard this before? They'll greet us as liberators, they say. They'll greet us as liberators. All we got to do is go in, kill some bad guys. It's a cakewalk, and then it'll be a democracy and a new day, right? I mean, where have we heard this one before? They said that in Iraq. They said that in Syria. They said that in Libya. They tried it in Egypt, so they had to do a second time. It doesn't work. Anyway, so that's that. Keep your eyes peeled. I have a feeling we'll be talking a lot more about this next month. And it's funny, in a way. When this war happened in June, everybody said, oh, it's over, it's over. Remember when everybody made a big stink about this? Well, it's over now. I told you in June, with absolutely no hesitation, I said, it will be back. Okay, this ain't over by a long shot. Here we are. Who could have predicted it? All right, we're going to move on. We're going to take a look at our super chats. We'll see what you guys have to say about all this. I'm going to get set up here. And we'll take a look. A little bit of a slow news day. Not too much going on, but, Isn't that so typical? I go away for 2 weeks. One thing after another, Venezuela, the bitch gets shot, and then I come back and it's like Trump gave a speech. That framework agreement. They're moving weapons to Iran. All right, let's take a look. Let's see what we got here.
And Marty 777 sent $20. Bellamy Saloon 1892 to 1942. Authentic America first used to be used in the Pledge of Allegiance. Bring it back and cancel their negative spam.
Why is this stupid ass thing? It's so quiet. I think our cable here is broken. I can barely hear the super chats. Shut up. No offense, Beth. I shouldn't say it says Beth Marie. If you're a girl, I apologize. No, we don't need to rehabilitate salutes and things like that. People are so caught up in, like, we need to LARP like it's the 1900s. No, that's really less important than doing something real.
Stair Zero Foamy sent $25.
There we go.
Vivek is more vulnerable than the primary in general. Primary. So if turnout is high, Vivek loses. He's on. Casey, which was on betting plus based on Valiant Charter. He seems real. May 5th.
Yeah, I don't know. I looked at the polling. I support Casey Push, but I don't think he can win. And I think that here's the problem. If we put all our resources behind a primary candidate that can't win and he loses, then people are going to say, all right, well, now you got to support Vivek. Or worse, we support Casey Push, he wins, and then he loses in the general, and then we look like assholes. So honestly, I think the best case scenario is that Vivek wins the primary and then loses the general. And then we could say, okay, well, we did it your way. Your guy won the primary and he lost. And I think we need to just actually punish the GOP. I think Vivek needs to lose in the general. So my mind is, I'm not going to intervene in the primary. I'm going to intervene in the general. If Casey Push can pull it off, I wish him luck. God bless. But Vivek has endorsements from everybody. From Trump, from Vance, from everybody up and down. I think he's got it. He's got money. I think Vivek is almost a shoo-in for the primary. We got to get involved in the general and say, stay home. The GOP needs to learn a valuable lesson, which is you endorse and you nominate anchor babies that insult American citizens, you're going to lose. We're going to take the state from you. And that'll hurt Republicans. I hope it does. Fuck them. They appointed Vivek to do this. Shouldn't have done it. Lieutenant Governor could have ran. They filled Vance's Senate seat to clear the way for Vivek. They shouldn't have done that. Big mistake. So no. I think that Vivek has to lose in the general. That's the message we need to say, that we need to send.
Total had sent $25. Give you 12 AD Emperor Garrett Hella, half Syrian, half North African. Random Roman citizenship to every single free man in the empire. Things never change, do they? Take your own side. And sent $30. Just when you were about to lose the title Loose Man and Live, they pull you back in.
Right? It's just when you think it's over, just when you think everything's normal, no one can edgelord anymore, no one's getting canceled, it starts up again.
Chad Bronco sent $25. Yo, Nick, I am a junior in HS 20 miles at W of you, and lots of guys listen to AF. God, I disagree about your take on Mexicans. Our village is surrounded by shitholes that Mexicans have ruined. Blacks have ruined the city, but Jeets and mostly beans have ruined everything else. We hate playing against their schools. Get AF.
Well, what's the take that you disagree with? Yeah, I don't support Chicago becoming a Mexican city, by the way. And I think we should deport all illegals. So I don't know. What is the part that you disagree with now?
Chad Bronco sent $25. The Mexicans protested ICE in the village near me and even lobbied for the city council meetings to be in Spanish only, LOL. They basically have the same test scores as blacks and bitch about it being because of racism, and now we have to tolerate a bunch of AS rationale for why test scores are dropping. Deport them all.
Yeah, I'm in favor of mass deportation, so I don't know what you disagree with.
Ryan sent $25. A YouTuber named Lamont mentioned you in a recent video. She has 500k plus followers, also in contention for the baddest roar pet.
I saw that. Yeah, but it was more just like she just knows who I am. I don't know if she's a groin
Drew
that.
Madam Chuck Motter sent $20. What's up, brother? I'm a 19-year-old Mexican. Working in a shitty grocery store right now. Love listening to the show every night. Just wanted to say thank you for everything you do. You really inspire a lot of young men such as myself. God bless you. Keep going hard AF.
Hey, well, thank you very much, man. God bless.
Sent $25. We like and watching my wife gets a fucked. Use cat mock in front of Mason and a cock.
Okay.
Guy sent $25. Loved the monologue last night. God bless. Latin cross emoji.
Thanks a lot. I appreciate it.
Brody Doherty sent $20. I just returned to the States after spending 11 days in Pearl Harbor. Very frustrating to arrive to an airport full of fat anarchists and ineffectual genes. Really puts into perspective how things can be.
Yeah, I didn't realize that, Oh, you mean when you came back? I thought you meant the other way around. Yeah, I've heard that before. I know a lot of people that go to Europe and they come back and they say it's noticeable how diverse our country is. And Europe has some diversity problems, but people come back here and they're like, wow, you come back to the United States and it's the ghetto, especially in the airports. I've heard that before.
Liquid Loving sent $20. I need a rundown of what you think about Israel's involvement with Charles. Don't make it too wordy, but I need some details.
with Charlie Kirk? Charles who? I don't know that. I don't know who Charles is. Do you mean Charlie Kirk or do you mean somebody else? I don't know what that means. And I need a rundown. Don't make it too wordy, but I need some details. He was Israel's top guy, if that's what you're talking about. So.
Internet sent $20. I know you have soft hands, but can you please put them to work? My hoodie still hasn't shipped. Get in the back and start packing the order now and start working on that network flood. Justin Poviel sent $50. Hey Nick, 21-year-old electrician and first-time super chatter. I've come to the conclusion that Candace Owens was Charlie's assassin because Charlie Kirk was actually Brigitte Macron in disguise and infiltrated her organization. When you think about it, there's no evidence to contradict that Candace was the shooter.
Well, where was she? We don't even know. You know what's funny? Did you see this? She got a... This is amazing. So today, on her show, she said that she got a cease and desist letter from Turning Point. She reads it on the show. Do you know that she has a non-disclosure agreement with Turning Point USA that contains a non-disparagement clause? Okay. What are we doing? So this entire time, from the day Charlie Kirk died until today, you're telling me the entire time she was under NDA with a non-disparagement clause that whole time? So she's going live every day for the past 4 or 5 months, getting 3 million views per show, saying Turning Point killed Charlie, Turning Point's filled with rapists, Turning Point stealing money, this, that, and the other. You're telling me the whole time she had a non-disparagement agreement? She's fucked. And in the cease and desist letter, it says, we reached out to her on December 2nd and December 14th, and we reminded her that she has a non-disparagement agreement, and she acknowledged it, and she kept saying it anyway. What are you doing? And in the letter it says, we are still calculating the damages, which are significant and still accruing. That's what the letter says. So it looks like she's in for a world of trouble as far as legal liability is concerned. She had a non-disparagement agreement, can you imagine? And for months, every night they kill them, they knew, they lied, they stole money, they're molesting people, this, that, and the other. You're under an NDA? She goes on the show, she's like, so I have a contract with Turning Point for when I did speaking gigs with them, and, you know, I have an NDA with them. It was terminated on December 2nd, but the NDA covers them for another 12 months. So she's, like, everything she has said is in violation of this agreement. And she's bitching about it. She goes, well, God is the only judge. I don't care about courts. Well, okay. I hope God is on the jury then. I hope God intervenes in this one because, damn, that looks pretty cut and dry. And I told you, people said, well, why did Erica Kirk meet with Candace Owens? I think I said this on the show. I definitely said it in our Telegram group chat. I said the reason that Erica is meeting with Candace Owens, probably with an attorney, is so that they can prove actual malice. Because the standard for defamation for a public figure, it's called actual malice. If you sue me for defamation and you're a private person, let's say I'm talking about my neighbor and I say, you know, my neighbor's a murderer, my neighbor's a thief, and my neighbor's a private person. My neighbor can sue me and say, this isn't true, and I'll be liable. If I say about a famous person, Trump is a murderer, Trump is a thief, and Trump sues me for defamation, he has to prove what is called actual malice. It means that I knew that what I was saying is not true, and I said it anyway with an intention to hurt him. And then he would have to prove the damages. So it's a much higher standard to prove if you're a public figure. So why did Erica Kirk meet with Candace Owens? She met with her so that she could furnish Candace with all the documentation and say, you're wrong about this, you're wrong about this, you're wrong about this. Here's the evidence. With an attorney present. And that's what Candace said. She said that they have a whole binder, papers. Candace verified all the information on her show. She said, yes, so we met, and their attorney was there, and they gave us all this info. Why did Erica do this? To set her up for future litigation, so that when Candace comes back and starts lying about Turning Point again, they can say, well, she knew. How do we know she knew? And when she knew it, because we told her. How do we know that Candace knows she's lying? Because we gave her the receipts in person. And she acknowledged that she saw them, and she said it anyway. And so that's why Turning Point says, we told her about her non-disparagement on December 2nd. We told her about it on the 14th. We had a meeting with her. She's in contact with Turning Point if she has any questions. So we did our due diligence. And yet, she lied anyway. The cease and desist letter is part of this. The cease and desist letter is building their case, saying, all right, now stop. We told you once, we told you twice, we're telling you a third time. You can't talk about this anymore. This non-disparagement clause is active. You're in breach of it. We're calculating the damages. Probably going to sue her anyway. But now they want her to be quiet. So it'll be very interesting. Does she ever talk about Turning Point again? I'd be very interested to see. Because if she comes back tomorrow, Friday, Monday, and she don't talk about Turning Point, then it's clear she's shitting her pants because the C and D, I mean, that's a tune-up. She knows what's coming. So I, if you saw the show, it's like, wow, that's totally insane.
With more,
how does anybody let her do that? Does she have a lawyer? Her lawyer's just got to be, what's this guy doing? She's out there every day attacking Turning Point, and like basically like committing defamation as such every day for months. She's under this agreement. The lawyer never speaks up and says, you really shouldn't be doing this. And she's deputizing her followers to do it too. So there's just no limit to it. So anyway, I don't know if you saw the latest development. It's even worse than you'd think.
Homicide, $50. Forced insertion, forced conception. The feminist idea of consent needs to be debated for the America. White women are a big reason for white replacement. Enforce birth rate like that for non-pregnant white women.
Oh yeah, that'll catch on. That's a great idea.
RLB1SD sent $20. Have you ever watched the
Mutual.
I have followed him on and off for several years and he seems to be level-headed. Longtime friend of Alex Jones and Israel Britain. He was my red pill beginning from you.
Yeah, I know of him. I don't really watch his show, but yeah, I know of him. He's very patriotic.
Zach sent $20. Hate impact of the community and I'm a massive fan. Recently I bought a wedding shirt. Should I wear it? I do.
I don't know. It depends on how big you are and what your situation is. If you're afraid of getting canceled, I would.
Person style individual sent $500. Been a fan since 2017. My firm, High Finance, allows me to transfer to London office 2 years max to learn the euro markets. Is it wise to leave the US now or will things get turbulent near term?
Why don't you ask your people at your firm? Why are you asking me for financial? I'm not a financial expert. That's a totally different field, okay? Geopolitics, politics, that's a whole different animal. I'm not a financial analyst. I don't look at financial markets every day. I don't use financial instruments. You're asking the wrong guy. I appreciate the huge super chat. And I appreciate the support. I wish I could help you, but my firm wants us to learn the European markets. I said, what? Are you talking about? Maybe you're talking more about safety? Honestly, I don't think you have too much to worry about. I think you'll be okay. I'm not worried imminently about a full-fledged civil disorder. I think that people like me gotta be worried, and people that are very political have to be worried. But if you're a rich guy, you're a rich financial guy, I don't think you need to flee the country imminently. I think about fleeing the country because if a Democrat gets in power, they might really come after me. If you're a civilian, I don't think it's going to get that bad. So I think it'll be okay. But I appreciate the use. I thought you meant like financially. I don't know about financially, but in terms of your personal safety, if you're really worried, I would say just move out into the hills. If you're really that worried, go move to Idaho or something. I don't know, but I wouldn't worry that much.
Host sent $20. Heard you like Star Wars in the previous episode. If you had no knowledge beyond Marvel Borders, who would you like? This is for the Republic.
I don't know, man. It's not science fiction. I heard you like Star Wars in the previous episode. If you were in the galaxy far, far away, would you align with the droids? I don't know, man. I'm not a citizen of the whatever. Of course, I don't know how I would feel about that.
RMC Pro sent $20. Why should American nationalists favor an aggressive imperialist foreign policy over a neutral soft power approach? Is the goal to create a safe civilization for white families where wage infinite wars and send young white men to die in pursuit of senseless territorial expansion?
Love that question. So is the goal to have wholesome Chungus white families with local honey, or is the goal to have endless wars where Goyim die for psychic vampires? Are you like, you're an idiot. Okay, let's start there. Why should American nationalists favor an aggressive imperialist foreign policy over neutral soft power approach? Is the goal to create wholesome Chungus civilization for families? For families in sundresses? And little kids that are eating ground beef and local honey? Or is it goal infinite war, sending white men to die? Clearly you don't watch the show. It's actually not a choice. We are a great power. We don't choose to be one, we are one. We are in a competition. We didn't choose to be in the competition, we are in the competition. The competition concerns our vital strategic interests. We need them. So, contrary to libertarians, there's no way to hide. You don't withdraw all your troops and then everybody leaves you alone. That's not how the world works. People think, if only the United States would stop bothering everybody, then we could pull up the drawbridge to Fort America and no one would give us a hard time. That's not true, okay? Every area that we abandon will be quickly taken over by some other country. And then, when we try to secure our interests for goods or supply chains or raw materials or whatever, strategically important territory, they are going to have the advantage. And we're not going to get our way. And we will have less leverage to get what we want. So, and that's life. Unfortunately, you don't get to choose. We're born into this. We are in a predicament. We are in a security dilemma with other countries. It's sort of like saying if we destroyed all our nukes, maybe everybody else would. No, they would keep their nukes. And actually, they might tend to use them then. We get rid of our nukes, make ourselves defenseless. We have a giant conventional army where they say, America's chill now. No, they'd probably annihilate us. And they'd say, phew, now we're safe. So, that's just idiotic. If you want to have, and this whole thing it's about safe white families,
hey,
yeah, okay,
you're in trouble.
fuck. Everybody
Okay.
wants safety.
I'll deal with
Everybody wants prosperity that allows people to have families. The question is how you achieve it, you fucking idiots. And identifying prosperity and safety with an isolationist foreign policy, that's just a mistake. It's a question. How do we achieve prosperity and safety? Is it with isolationism or is it with intervention? And that's actually a question that you have to solve. It's not easy to say, if we just stop terrorizing the world, then, we would be rich and safe. Well, that's actually a foregone conclusion. It's not a foregone conclusion that would be the case. So, sending young white men to die. You think we would not have a military? We would still have a military. It would be filled with men, white men, and yes, sometimes they would die. And that's the world. The question is, what are they going to die for? White men will die if you enforce the law, okay? Police officers die all the time. It's tragic. You hate that it happens. But when you enforce the law, people die. We're going to not have police. Should we continue to have an aggressive, interventionist police force where white men are dying? Or are we going to have safe, wholesome Chungus white families where we bake sourdough bread? In order to do those things, you need white men to die, actually. You need courageous and brave white men to die, the thin line between order and chaos. One secures the other. And that's the world. Are you an idiot? Are you some pussy liberal? If only we just got rid of the jails and the cops, if only we got rid of the guns and the sticks, and everybody would live happily ever after, we'd be skipping in wheat fields. No, it's not how the world works. So no, we would still have a military, it would still be filled with men, mostly white, and they would still die. Even if you're just steering aircraft carriers around, they'd still be falling off the fucking boat, they'd still be crashing the planes, and from time to time, they would still need to intervene places, and some of them would die. If you're not prepared for that, you're a girl. and you're naive about the way the world works. That's why.
Is the goal to create a safe civilization for white families? Is the goal to create a world with puppies and babies?
Grow up. You're pathetic. And you disgust me.
Wanting a ride?
$20. Hey,
Let me
Nick,
know.
just wondering if there's any update with the America First Foundation. I
On
keep
the
checking
way.
the website every week for an update on the articles/events tabs. Keep up the good work.
When there is an update, I will update you.
Fanboy Lover 69 said $1. What update, Nick? Love your show. It's a shame us in Australia may not be able to watch it for much longer with the new hate speech of the last song. You've been a good watch.
Thank you for the big super chat. Yeah, it's crazy, huh? It's a shame. It's almost like dressing up like Nazis accelerated that. And, you know, it's almost like if you go around with a sign that says "Deport niggers, not guns," and you go around beating people up in all black and screaming slurs and intimidating everybody, it's almost like it actually creates the opposite of the intended effect. So I'm sorry that happened, but you know, you would have more of a leg to stand on if you guys were plainclothes, clean-cut Australian nationalists. If you just wave the flag and you just look the part, it'd be a lot harder for them to do stuff like that. Just saying.
Marcos 321 million said $20. I just want to say thanks, man. Been watching a lot the last year to really turn me to Christianity and got me into politics. My auntie passed away last night. Christianity really helped me. Latin cross emoji.
I'm sorry to hear about your aunt, but glad to hear that you're leaning on Christianity.
PJ said $40. Just bought 2 website quarter zips. One for me and one for Harry Sisson.
Well, they're USA quarter zips, but I think, I see where you're coming from. Thank you very much, though. I
Ray
appreciate
Jar
it.
Jar makes $3. You're the last village.
It seems like it.
G-Roy from Claire just $20. These lies to be propaganda to convince men that being small listeners is somehow superior to going larger and being powerful. You should be a total Tesla. But it's still, instead of being built and getting good away from the best advantage. In 2026, we must assemble.
No lean. Because if you want to fight, you need to be lean. In a real fight, when you look at the UFC fighters, they're lean. Boxers are lean. UFC fighters are lean. If you really want to be a weapon, look at CIA agents. Are CIA agents army builders? Or are they lean? They're lean. Lean is the law, because if you're in a war, if you're in a fight, you need endurance. You need endurance, you need stamina, jump rope, run a mile. You need that stamina, you need speed. You actually, if you know how to fight, you want to be lean. So no, I disagree. It's a code. That's a code for people that feel powerless. And you said it in the lead there. You said we need to grow larger and more powerful. That's a code because you feel powerless and you think that by getting bigger, you're becoming powerful. That's just cosmetic. That just makes you, that's just hypertrophy. You know, there's a lot of guys that build these big muscles and they're not even really all that strong and they can't fight. They get gassed after 2 minutes. They don't even have martial arts training. They're not as strong as some of these other guys with a sleeper build. That's because for them, it's all just cosmetic. It's all for the aesthetics. They want to look in the mirror and see a giant person and say, oh, yeah, try and push me around. We need people to be beautiful, which means they need to be lean. And if you want to be powerful, learn how to fight. If it's about being powerful physically, then do martial arts. That's my advice. So no, that's the opposite. This is just like an unresolved psychological issue. We need to be big. We need to be powerful. We need to be this. It just feels. If you want to become a weapon, learn martial arts, do tactical training. That's what happens in the real world. People shoot each other with guns. And if you want to be able to sprint through the street, you need to be able to do that. This whole thing where it's like, I just want to become a big muscled head. That's like my dysmorphia, to tell you the truth. So no, lean is the fucking law. And everyone will follow the law. It's the law. You need to be lean.
Walker Meeting for $20. Imagine being on the red, even if that's there, NYC, and MF, to go nowhere. Get scammed by niggas, and have to raise people can, and still believe in white messages. Islam.
Where is this coming from? Is this a Jew or is this a Pakistani? Well, we did it because we're public enemy number one. If you were a threat to anybody or anything, they'd be trying to stop you. They want to breed more of you because you are slaves. Do you want to know why they destroy Europe? Because Europeans are the only people the Jews are afraid of. They're breeding more of you all the time. They don't give a shit. More Africans, more Pakistanis, more brown people. It makes no difference to them. And then they import them. So that's they're bombing us. They're over the target because we're the most formidable race. Everyone knows it.
Chess $6 $30. Able area/unharmed LT. Match represented by $6. Real question is, you say no more than everyone here is gay and live going that they own. Hard to believe it. No.
I don't know if it doesn't really affect me. In case you haven't noticed, everyone's retarded, gay, and liberal everywhere. Where can you go where that's not the case? That's how it is everywhere you go.
Maybe for $20. That late night she was bringing a podcast up for the piece that you want to call that. These people truly don't understand art. But the context says, niggas gonna be niggas, am I right? Yes or yes. There's something to say, African-Americans, the African-Americans.
I don't know that person.
I'll still send $20 at this point in your career. Let's look at you, Rush. Does it never start feeling totally other than your parent? Everyday things that make you happy. Like a little kid with your smart.
Something gives me a rush. Yeah. People think I do things for right. I find that to be very it's like spiritually weak to do things to get a rush. Never get a rush from it. I think that explains my behavior. I'm pretty late there. You know, and I'm passionate, I'm stick, but I'm a pretty laid back guy. I'm not out there chasing. Chasing. Oh, I'm so famous. Oh, people are talking about me. Oh my gosh. I'm satisfied with myself if I'm doing well. I'm pleased with myself. If I got money coming in and the show's doing well, the only thing that I feel is relief. That's all I feel. Ask anybody that knows me. I never get jazzed up. I never get panic. I never get a God complex. I'm extremely conservative. If things are going well, I'm just worried about the next shoe to drop. I'm temporarily relieved that, okay, things are okay, I can go to bed, sleep easy tonight. And I'm satisfied for a moment. I'm pleased with myself. I say, okay, we're doing good. But nothing has ever given me a rush. I don't know about you guys, but, some people say when you're up on stage and people are cheering your name, it just does something to you. All I'm worried about when I'm on stage is giving a good performance. Then I get off the stage and I'm like, hey, did I do a good job? And people say that about streaming, and people get all whipped up and stuff. Oh, did you see how many viewers? Oh, I'm making so much money. For me, it's like, phew, okay. We got money, that means we're good for a few years. We can make no money for the next 10 years and be okay. Like, that's the only thing I'm thinking about. And I think I've just always been like that. Ever since I was a little kid, nothing ever really got me gassed up. Some people, when they're a little kid, it's like, oh my gosh, pizza party, this is crazy. I never felt that bliss. I never felt that, I guess unless I was very little on like Christmas. Nothing could match the feeling of Christmas, the anticipation of you wake up and the presents are under the tree. That was peak. All downhill since there. Now, I've made tons of money and over the years, and I've met all my heroes, and I've done huge live streams, and I've been to a national story. I would say the one thing that I really like is hanging out with Ye. That really was like a big, oh my gosh moment. Other than that, yeah, not really. I'm pretty even-keeled. I have a range of negative emotions, but a very low ceiling for positive emotions. I don't know that I get super excited, it's really more just like, oh, okay, everything's chill right now, I can relax. That's about as peak as it gets. There's a range of negativity, but I guess I'm naturally melancholic, pessimistic. That's just my temperament. So it all feels dull to me, I guess. It all feels dull. I really get excited about simple things. Simple things, the purest bliss is like when I'm in Florida and I'm driving with the top down and the weather's perfect and my favorite song comes on and I go to the burger place and I get my favorite burger. To me, that is as good as it gets. Go to the hot tub on a cool day and I'm in the hot tub with my AirPods in and I'm just, that's peak. That's about as good as it gets. Simple pleasures. Some people, because you know what I found is that I've achieved a lot of what I wanted out of my life. A lot of excitement. I live an interesting life. It's an exciting life. But what I found is that it's all the same. You chase these things in your life. You dream about things in your life. You experience the ups and the downs. The downs are not deadly. Unless it's like you're a drug addict or you get involved in organized crime. The downs are not ultimately that bad unless you really fuck up. Unless you get in trouble with the law, like I said, like really bad stuff. And the peaks are not, they don't really do it for you. You achieve what you want and then you realize you wake up the next day in a bed. You achieve everything you ever wanted. You know, you meet your hero. You make $1 million. You become one of the most famous people. You're at the top of your field. You get the interview, whatever. And you know what happens? You get in your car, you drive home, you get undressed, you jump in bed, you fall asleep. Wake up the next day, check your phone, brush your teeth, eat your breakfast. It's just another day. Just another day.
I got something that might...
And you got the same problems. You know? The same list of problems. You know, you got a family member that's got an issue. Oh, you know, you got a disgruntled somebody causing problems for you. Oh, you got, you know, you got to do chores. You got to pay this. They do this, whatever. It's all just life. It's all monotonous. It's all repetitive. It's all menial. It's all dull. And this is why people are always chasing novelty. They want to get a change of scenery. They want a mind-altering drug. They want a romance. They want a fling. They want a whatever. They think that's going to get them to feel happy. But you know, you do these things and then you're just back. People talk about travel. It's like you're a miserable piece of shit. You're going to go over there and you'll be a miserable piece of shit over there. You know? Just a matter of time. So, anyway, that's just some advice for young people and people in general. I'm a big believer in acceptance. You should work hard. You should fight every day for what's right. You should have goals and be ambitious and fight for your seat at the table and stick up for yourself. I believe in all of that. I also believe in an inner peace, which is just acceptance about we're not in control. Life is what it is. None of it is ours. You can't hang on to any of it. And if you can really just enjoy today, then you're good. You know, whenever you're stationed, wherever you are in the journey, if you can take a deep breath and step outside and just enjoy what life is, then you'll be okay. Even if you're miserable. But it's these other people that have these expectations. I feel like that's when you get into trouble. That's when people start to, you know, there's this dissonance about, you know, what they think things should be like or whatever. Life is pretty predictable. And the things that are unpredictable kind of fit into a familiar list of things that are fairly predictable. You grow up, you get a job, you get sick, people you love die, you die. That's it. And then everyone forget. No one gives a shit about you, and you die, and people forget about you, and that's life. And people think, you know, there's all this pomp, and people convincing themselves of the significance of things, and you know, time destroys it all.
Charles Entertainment Group sent $20 on the Epstein thing. It's usually only a small yet vocal minority of women and younger men have a problem with income. Glaring the obvious that it's because women outgrow their social and romantic capital as they age. Body count, weight, baggage, all men usually gain social and financial capital as they age.
Well, and, it's such a controversial subject. Women can't talk about it. Here's the thing. Women are inherently vulnerable, and so they're always going to spaz about anything like this. Women are always going to spaz about rape. Women are always going to spaz about pedophilia. Women are going to spaz about all this stuff. And what I mean by that is you cannot have a rational conversation. And the reason being is because women are vulnerable and they live in fear of being killed by men or being raped by men. And so they're always going to bring their emotions into it. So, for example, when it comes to Epstein, you point this out. It is a fact. The victims are 14 to 17, okay? And I'm not defending it. I'm not justifying it. I'm saying that that does not fit into the category of pedophilia. Like, strictly speaking, and the laws reflect that. Don't take it up with me. That's the facts. The victims are in that age cohort. And if you look at the dictionary definition of the word, it's not pedophilia. Now, that doesn't mean it's not wrong. It doesn't mean it's okay. It's still predatory. You're still preying on the innocent. It's still wicked. It's still a millstone level offense. Like, people say you're defending it. I'm not defending it. I'm saying let's categorize it so that we can understand what is happening here. He's trafficking underage girls that are teenagers because the purpose is blackmail. Okay, the purpose is not let's be as sick and transgressive as possible. The purpose is let's groom these younger girls, and when they're 16 or 17, when they're barely illegal, we're going to put them in a situation to compromise powerful people. That's what he got charged with. That's what the charging documents say. When he was charged initially, those are the victims, and those were the charges. Procuring minors for trafficking to get blackmail, okay? We're trying to achieve understanding. A woman will never be able to have this conversation because a woman looks at any young girl, even if she's 19 or 20 or 21, and she'll say, that's a vulnerable girl. That's a child. And you go, no, it's not. No, sorry. 19's not a child. 20's not a child. 18's, 17's really not a child, strictly speaking. But they can't handle it because for them it is personal. And because it's personal, it makes them emotional. Because they're a young girl, and many young women, it's hard to be a young girl. I empathize deeply, actually. I empathize totally. And men need to... I feel this way about Jews. I feel this way about women. I can't empathize. And I see your side, which is that, women do live in constant fear. And many young girls don't want to speak up. And, they're worried about dating. They're worried about being alone with men because men are more powerful. And women get scared easily. They don't stick up for themselves. I get that. And I get why women get charged up, and that's why they freak out. But you know what? That's why a woman's testimony counts for a fraction of a man's in court. These women are not rational. And we can be empathetic and we can understand why they feel the way that they feel. But we have to be logical. And we can't be emotional about these topics. We have to be... we have to go where the truth is, like this in every other subject. And, it's no coincidence that the fertility crisis coincides with deferring childbirth. And why do you think people are deferring childbirth? Because of modernity, because of feminism, because of attitudes about sex, because of the Industrial Revolution. And all of this goes hand in hand with pushing that age back further and further. It is what it is. So, I think in an ideal world, men and women are getting married in their teens. I think it's crazy that men and women are waiting until they're 28 to get married, and I know that's hypocritical because I'm 27 and I'm not married, but I live in this world and I'm in a particular set of circumstances. But that's the age when men and women are sexually active and fertile, and I think that's when you start building a marriage. So I don't think that's crazy that you have like a 21-year-old guy with a job and who's established marries a younger girl who's 17. I don't think that's insane. Yeah, what's insane is a girl finishes high school, goes to college, sleeps with 6 or 7 guys, then gets a fucking job, moves out of her parents' house to an apartment, goes to bars in the city, fucks a bunch more guys, and then when she's ready to settle down at 25, then she considers marriage. Okay, well, what does that look like for you now? You're 25, you're past your prime in fertility and looks. You're used goods. Now what are your prospects? A 25-year-old and above man? Well, what man who's got money and status at the age of 28 is going to want to marry some used-up 25-year-old, mid-20s girl? No, a 28-year-old guy is going to want to go for a younger girl with a low body count and who has not been weathered by time. And so these women are in a trap. Okay, now you're 25, now you're 26, now you're 27, now you're 28, now you're 30, now you're 35. And it just gets worse. And then what happens? A desperate guy and a desperate girl get married at age 30. They have 1 kid. And they're both cynical. The guy's been in 100 relationships. The girl's been in 100 relationships. They've done it so many times. They've been through the process, initiating and falling in love and, building a life and then breaking apart. And they get cynical, set in their ways and cynical. And then it's just not the same. And then that's why they get divorced. You're not ready for that. People are not ready for that. People want to bitch and moan about pervert, pedophile. It's always women with the shame stuff. And it starts with men saying, like, shut up. Shut the fuck up. We need to rebuild society, and it starts with rebuilding the men and the women, and we got to change those attitudes. No, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Women being in school until they're 22, and then what do? Okay, you've been to school your whole life. What are you going to do? You're going to be a stay-at-home mom? No one thinks that makes sense. They got to get a job just so they can say it wasn't all a waste of time. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong. The women are being pushed into college for 4 more years of education. It's exorbitantly expensive. They get out at 22. And then what are they going to do? Be a stay-at-home mom? They can't. They say, look, I got my paper. It's all been leading to me getting a job in the city. And then that's what they do. And they got to, just to go through the motion, they got to LARP as a working woman for a few years at least. And then they're going to settle down. Okay, well, now you're in the late 20s. Is that a child? When is it not a child? When they're fucking 50? When they hit menopause? I mean, come on. So, but women are so touchy about it because they're a vulnerable population. So that's why they can never handle an adult conversation about rape, about, teenage marriage, that kind of thing. And once you understand that, you realize, well, what is Epstein doing? Like, is the crime that he is attracted to something that you should absolutely under no circumstances be attracted to? No, categorically not. Sorry, 17-year-old girls are attractive. Hate to break it to you. 14, if you're 60 and it's a 14-year-old, that's pushing it, obviously. That's sick. But 17, you're kind of over that hump at that point. And it's a little creepy. You might have, it's distasteful if it's a huge age gap like that, I think. But the problem is that they're doing it, they're preying on young girls because they're vulnerable. That's the problem. They're preying on young girls because they're the most vulnerable. And they're trafficking them so that they can get blackmailed. And that's what is going on there. Anyway, I know a lot of people disagree. You're wrong. I know a lot of people, they call me names. Fuck you. You're wrong. And people think they're going to shame me. Like, you're this, you're that, you're the other. That's not an argument. You're calling me a name. Go fuck yourself and kill yourself. I didn't get into this show because I'm going to listen to some emotional idiot NPCs that can't critically think about issues. If I did that, I would have never talked about Jews. So you can go and cry about it with the girls. You can go and bring your tampons, and you can go and bring your pussy hat, and you can go cry about You know, every guy's a pervert. Okay, everyone's a pervert. Everyone was a rapist. Whatever.
Lil Wayne sent $20. You Joel Bennon's Patreon account getting removed only a week and a half after he was Joel's interview on there is ridiculous. They literally run everything.
Yeah, I feel like it's just not a surprise.
Danny sent $20 regarding Tate's apology. Everybody's acting tough about free speech and Hitler. Yet, how about this? Maine has been run by Jews since 47, imprisoned our elites, and recently passed in December law expert number 241. For any anti-Semitic content gets you 3 years minimum behind bars. God bless you in the land of the free.
Well, I don't know anything about Romania, but if that's true, hey, all the more reason. You know, Tate's really in a bad situation.
He sent $2. I'll lucky if you can hear me. Put the man down and invent us some nuclear raiders instead of some Beyblade auto used to decapitate a dozen Palestinian children.
A nuclear icebreaker, yeah.
Driving around.
Well, if this shit works. I hear they're having some real trouble, and I like Palmer Luckey. I like him. He seems like a smart guy, but I hear Anduril. People are saying in the Pentagon it doesn't work.
Driving around sent $27. All my wags ripping the borders of some slopes this year. Epstein Island. No, Epstein Mountain nigga. You ski.
Hell yeah. We're bringing our Epstein quarterzips to get the Archburger when it hits McDonald's.
Acid was Keith at $30. Racing is the best in your suit colors. Really enjoying the collapse archive. White supremacy ruined my life. Smiley face emoji.
Hey, thanks, man. Appreciate it.
American sent $21. Nick, did you see that James Hamlin impregnated his wife for a fourth time?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Simon sent $20. PPD says he's not bought because he doesn't take ad money and has you and Bibi both on. He doesn't have to be bought with money, but with other value like biz deals and networking for his consulting agency. He blew Bibi in that interview yet pushed too much for him. Value exchange is only monetary. Can't wait for the EP where you rip PPD.
Well, we kind of did that
Tonight.
tonight.
Convert sent $100. Another strong contender for baddest broad that's on Great Oregon. Young, white, aggressively / unapologetically Catholic. Seems like she'd have that playfully contentious energy you're looking for.
Okay, you're making it sound weird. Thank you for the big super chat. I don't know who that is. I've never heard of her. Stop helping me, please. You're like betting. These idiots are betting. Hey, she'd be great for you. She has that playfully contentious energy you're looking for. You know, you're really souring me on the whole thing. I kind of... Okay. I don't even know if I want to say this. This might be too real. I don't even know if I want to go there. I'm already in all this controversy. Everybody's attacking me. Everybody's calling me out. Everyone's calling me a hypocrite. All this kind of stuff. I don't even know if I want to say this. So maybe I'm just not going to. Maybe I just won't. Maybe it's, you know what? We're already in enough controversy. But I appreciate the big super chat.
I fuck your mind for mind tasting, but that's just me. Harry says Snapchat me.
That is such an L Riz. That is L Riz. But that's just me. Dude, imagine thinking that's a good line. He should have just left it at I fuck you raw. First of all, after wine tasting, ugh. I fuck you raw after wine tasting. I fuck you raw for pickleball. And then, but that's just me. I did a thing. But that's just me. I don't know who needs to hear this. That's just me. So, I did a thing. Daily reminder, like that's one of those millennial chungusisms. Oh, I'd fuck you so hard after wine tasting. But that's just me. Jeez, oh man, that's a rough one.
$1.99 cent $100. Finally got my bitch, and I can bitch about duty for me with this shit at top-notch quality. Can't even lie. You know, this anti-Semitism shit is driving me crazy. Holocaust Museum. That's crazy.
It's totally insane. Thank you for the big super chat. I'm glad you got your merch and you like it. Yeah, everybody's crying about it all the time. People are saying, Nick, say it. Okay, here's what I was going to say. Okay, I'm not going to say it because everyone's going to attack me for it. I'm too real. Sometimes I wish I was less famous because when you get to be really famous, you know, like, you can't say anything. Because every time you say anything, you have this, like, choir of cocksuckers that just go, did he just say what I can't believe he just said that, Nick just said that, and they all want to use it to make you look bad and take a shit on you, and you go, man, wow, this country sucks. You can't say anything without the biggest dick riders in the world. Get a fucking life. You get the chorus of dick riders that come out, and they're like, baby, you said that, yeah. And it's like, can a nigga think? Can a nigga say shit? Sometimes we have to just start speaking our mind and saying what's in our hearts. Here's what I was going to say, okay? I'll tell you what I was going to say. I kind of want to marry an OnlyFans girl. Okay? Do you guys ever, and I'm not going to, obviously, because it wouldn't be traditional or Catholic and wholesome. Okay? Can anybody else relate? Sometimes, hang on, sometimes, hang on, yeah. Hello? Can you still hear me? Hang on, stop. Chat, hang on, now hear me out. Sometimes, I just feel like it would be kind of hot to marry a total whore. But maybe that's just me. I don't know if you agree. Look, you don't have to agree with that. You don't have to relate to that or like that. But you know what? Sometimes you're like, I kind of want to marry a porn star or a whore. I'm going to, okay? I'm just saying. Sometimes you think that would be hot. I'm just saying.
Where you gonna go? You got nowhere to go now.
The chat is mixed.
Oh, wow.
Chat has mixed feelings about this. I said what I said. There, I said it. We've all thought it before. You either thought this before, or you're lying, or you're gay. Those are your options. Pick. We've all thought this before. You're either lying, or you agree with me, or you're gay. Those are your options. But that's it. Don't give me this stuff about holier than thou. Look, there's a reason that whores have kind of an appeal. Like, there's a reason for that. There's a reason it's a temptation. I'm just saying. And cancel me. Go ahead and cancel me. Maybe I'm just too real. People are going to remind me, hey, that's immoral. I know, okay? But I'm a eccentric person. People are going to say, but didn't you know that's immoral? I know. I'm not going to do it. I know it's wrong. I'm just telling you, sometimes I think about it, okay? Fucking relax. That's all. Jeez. You can't say anything. Goodness gracious. Anyway, well, you wanted me to say it, I said it. But I don't know how we're going to get that. What you said on his show. That's not very... Okay, I know. But I said what I said.
Toys 20, I said $20. First time seeing the show, I'm usually up this late. Like the beer. The beer's still sick. God bless.
Yeah, the Bears disappointed us. The Bears really embarrassed me, to tell you the truth.
Catherine Alexandria said $20. The beard works for you.
Think so? I like it, but the chat says to shave it. I don't know. I'm thinking maybe I'll make it a goatee. Maybe I'll like trim the sides down a lot and I'll keep like this goatee. What do you think of that? Because it's not as thick on the side, and so it makes it look like I just have stubble. And it's red, so it's kind of light. It's not very dark. So I think about maybe bringing down the sides and keeping the goatee where it's a little fuller and thicker. That's my goal.
GR0 had 7 cent $20. Last night I had a dream.
The Obi-Wan. I need to do the Obi-Wan.
GR0 had 7 cent $20. Last night I had a dream that I met you. Your aura was like rays of sunshine and it gave me a warm feeling inside. Thank you for everything you say. You are the best. Stay safe. Beating heart emoji.
Okay, well, stop dreaming about me. Thank you, but please stop dreaming about me.
Ruthless Sumer sent $20. Adam Sosnick is suspicious. I'm gonna have to do a thread on him. In the meantime, check out my thread exposing Ian Carroll.
Is he? I'll have to take a look. I don't know anything about him.
Usually sent $50. DJ D and his posse of Wall Kisser Miami fans at the big game last night. Hope they enjoyed the cup chair watching Kathleen Fernando Mendoza run all over them. Hail to old IU. HH to the Club 07.
That's crazy. The posse of Wall Kisser Miami fans. That's crazy. Trash talk. Like, usually the trash talk in college basketball is like, your point guard sucks, or I don't even know. I don't go. But, like, your wall kisser fans were in the cuck chair. Your wall kissing Jew fans enjoyed their cuck chair watching our Catholic whatever run all over them. That's crazy.
Venezuelan American Rover sent $33. I knew Patrick Bet Davidson, Israel Shill, with my buddies, and I went to his election party, and outside the event were stationed 2 Israeli fighter jets with IDF soldiers. The boys and I got bored during it and started watching your stream. Real wanged moments. God bless the USA.
Hell yeah, Wang Half.
Max Thing 69 sent $100. Hey Nick, why do you charge $100 per month for the Telegram group? I sent a month's membership just for this one message. Pretty elitist and Jewish of you to pray I'm going like that. P.S. You should shave.
Oh, thank you for the compliment. It was elitist and Jewish of me? What do you mean by that? Successful, upper crust, dominates the field? Thanks for the compliment. Look, the chat is for rich people. Just say you're broke. Just say you can't afford it. Okay? The chat is for rich people because that's your quality control. It's called economy. We could open up a group chat for $5 a month, and every numbskull with the $5 bill would be in there, trolling, carrying on, being fucking annoying. You make it $100 a month, you get far fewer people, still hundreds of people in there, but you get fewer people. It's a selection bias. It's a filter. How much is it worth to you? If you can scrape together $100 to talk to me, you're worthy. If you can't scrape together $100, I don't know what to tell you. Get a paper route. I don't know what to tell you. You know, pretty elitist. You're right. It's called elite human capital. That's what we're looking for. Elite human capital. I am an elitist. We're not preying on anybody. We're telling people, look, this is the price. Many can afford it. More cannot. And that's sort of the point. You want the show? It's free. You want to talk to me?
Not conservatism said $21. Hey, even you know conservatism/nationalism does not work and is indisputably wrong. Unfortunately for us, we only have 2 right-wing parties currently.
I love when people say, even you know, I love when people say that's my favorite.
Fort Therapy said $20. The mayor of Miami looks like the creepy blood-drinking version of Sid from the Ice Age movie. Competitively opaque said $20. Pitbull mentioned him and I immediately thought of you killed a god, Rudyard.
You just killed a god, Rudyard. I thought of that too. I was trying not to laugh. You just killed a god, Rudyard.
Dragonborn 0x said $20. Nick, love your suit tonight. Thank you for everything you do, Christ is King.
Thanks. I appreciate it.
Super said $20. All my niggas Catholic. Dig hallelujah. All roads lead to Rome. And when in Rome, do as the Romans do.
Okay. I love when people do that. They're like, what if we took the lyrics and made them Christian? Okay, that offends nobody. It means no purpose. You get all these, like, Christian, wholesome Chungus munches. You get these carpet-munching, wholesome Chungus Christians. Whenever you say anything about Hitler, these beta males line up to say, hey, stop listening to these toxic influencers. Stop worshiping them. Worship Jesus. And, like, listen, yes, I say the same. I'm not telling anyone to worship me. I worship Jesus. I tell everyone to. But that's just like a beta male cop-out. Whenever you do anything edgy, whenever you do anything toxic or iconoclastic, you get these carpet-munching losers with their dry-fit t-shirts and like their giant cross necklace and snapback baseball cap. And they go, stop worshiping influencers. It's only about... And that's just like, bro, you're just hiding behind the Bible. That's all you're doing. I saw that today on Instagram. You know, like there's a picture of all of us in the club, and this douchebag is like, don't worship them. Worship Jesus. It's like, bro, I worship Jesus. You're just mad that you weren't there. You're just mad because you have no clout, you're broke, you weren't there. Other men are doing things in the world. You're pressed about it. And you're going to just moral fag and say, oh, you know, here's how I can still win. I'm just going to stand on a moral high ground or something. It's so cringe. So, like when the Hitler song came out, it was like, yeah, Hitler's cool. And that's the Team Hitler quote. Some guy was like, I'm not on Team Hitler, I'm on Team Jesus. It's like, okay, so am I. We can't talk about anything else. But they mistake. It's like when Jack Posobiec is like, oh, it's Franco Friday. Dude, no one cares now. You say Franco Friday, nobody cares because it's not edgy, because he didn't fight the Jews. So, yeah.
all my niggas Catholic, hallelujah. People are gonna go.
Yeah, it's not edgy, though. Where's the edge? Where's a little bit of spice?
I could be your grandma said $25. Hey, mister, you could be my grandson. I'd like to know if this song was so awful. What was it doing in the club anyway?
Well, we did request it, so we did, like, insist that it was put on. They told us, oh, we can't find it anywhere. We're like, we'll help you. We said, play that song. We can't find it. Don't worry, we'll send it to you. So, like, we did insist that the song would be played collectively.
Zelma said $20. /author recommendations. Tried to broaden my knowledge, just don't know where to start.
You don't know where to start. That's
Basically,
your
said
problem.
$20. When's the locked-in challenge with Santa Cruz happening?
Locked in with Santa Cruz. Oh, man. I am a disciple of Clavicular. Okay? I am a disciple of Braden Peters. I have made my choice. I have made my decision. I do not believe in the carnivore diet. I do not believe in lifestyle changes. Okay? I do not follow Santa Cruz. My allegiance is with Braden Peters. My allegiance is with Clavicular. I do not believe in diet and exercise. I do not believe in the carnivore diet. I do not believe in healthy lifestyle alternatives. I think that is gay. I think that is cringe. I think that doesn't work. If that shit worked, then high-performance athletes would do that. If you were training for the Olympics, training for the NFL, training for the MLB, and you wanted to be the optimal athlete, you wanted an edge on your opponents, if that shit worked, you would get on the carnivore diet. If that shit worked, Lance Armstrong would be getting he'd be at the farmer's market getting raw milk. Lance Armstrong busted with a fridge full of raw milk, cooking up some delicious farm fresh pasture-raised eggs that he got from his local farmer's market. No, but he didn't. But Lance Armstrong, one of the greatest athletes in the world, didn't get busted with raw milk and pasture-raised eggs. He got busted with steroids. Because steroids work. Because if you want to be the ultimate beast, you get on steroids and amphetamines. That's what you would do. When the Kyrgyzstanis send their terrorists to the Moscow Bolshoi Mall, they don't put them on the carnivore diet, they put them on amphetamines from Syria. That's the difference. Okay? When ISIS-K is ready to give their life against Russia's leader, they don't get amped up by eating local honey and organic ice cream. They're not PETA. They get on meth. So, that's what I look at. That's what I look at. What's your model? If I'm Patrick Bet-David, what's your model for performance? Well, let's see. The highest performance fighters and athletes and everybody else, they just take drugs. They take hormones, they take steroids. They're not at the farmer's market. You're not going to catch an Olympian and an ISIS fighter and a U.S. Marine and a WWE entertainer at your local farmer's market. No, you're going to catch them at the pharmacy. That's where the gains are made. The gains are not made in the kitchen. The gains are made in a Chinese laboratory, and everyone knows it. And everyone is coping. So, I would like to meet Santa Cruz. It'd be an interesting collaboration. Hey, fuck it, I'd like to meet Cookie. Cookie? You're still not calling me, man. Where's my Cookie collab? So, yeah, Santa Cruz, Cookie King, hey, hit me up. Dylan Latham, hey, hit me up. I don't know, maybe next time in Miami, let's do a stream. I don't know, just call me. But, I'm just making it clear, my allegiance is to the black pill. The human black pill. I'm not with all that lifestyle stuff. That shit is corny. I see Santa Cruz. I saw Santa Cruz walking through a library and some girl is like, hey, wait, you're that guy. And Santa Cruz is like,
Hey, are you doing are you taking your supplements?
you see Clavicular walking down the street, just fucking mogging every nigga to death. And girls are swooning and guys are crashing out. Hitting people with his car. Oh my God. And that's the difference. Santa Cruz walks by, hey, are you that guy from like TikTok? Eat your supplements. Eat your raw meat. Clavicular walks down the street. People are dying. They're being mogged so hard, they're dying spontaneously. People are saying, huge clavicular! The whole club is like, huge clavicular, can I get a picture? So that's the difference. Proof of the pudding.
I know. Good fuck you, right?
So, yeah. I always have. I've said that for years. Diet and exercise is a code. You know, today I went to ChatGPT and I said, how do I get my testosterone up? So I'm thinking, like, I don't know. Maybe I need it, because he got in my head. You know, Plav got in my head. We were in the Sprinter van. He's like, you should get on testosterone, brother. And I'm like, I don't know. Like, why do I need to do that? Then I started to freak out. I'm an older man. A younger man is mogging me to death. I started getting, insecure. I go on ChatGPT. I'm like, how do I get my T up naturally? You know what it said? Try not to laugh. I said, how do I get my T up? It said, get 9 hours of sleep a night. I said, okay, kill yourself. Like, this is the smartest machine in the world. Someone should blow this shit up. This is bullshit. Yeah, okay, how about the real answer now? Thank you. How about the real answer? Very funny. Now, seriously, how do I get my T up? It said, sleep 9 hours a night. Take your magnesium supplements. Your cholesterol is really important. It said you're never going to double your testosterone, but you can get it up 10%. 10%. What is that going to do for me? So, the answer is obvious. The answer is obvious what we need to do.
Well done.
And it's not all bad. People are waking up. Time for my red light therapy. Time for my skincare. Time for my pasteurized eggs. Time for my bullshit. Clav does an injection. Doesn't even work out. Mogs you to death. It's over. Get real. Wake up. Wake the fuck up.
Zero Space Cowboy sent $20. Funded Operation ISOM will get 55,000 Americans to move to Greenland. Vote to secede completely from debt and market join the United States, just like how we got Texas.
That would be kind of awesome. They should just pay people to move there. Honestly, how much would it cost to get 100,000 Americans to move to Greenland? If you created like a charter city, like a charter smart city, and you had people pay to move there, I mean, the only thing is the climate blows, but you pay people to live there, you can do it.
High Octane sent $20. At this point, I think Candace is acting as crazy so she can plead insanity and get sued for $10 billion.
There's a non-zero chance that that's her strategy.
America First 1776 sent $20. I'm glad you watched the whole Amber Day interview. It was ridiculous how Patrick bet David Adams on Nick were treating him. It was the first time he met him. Glad he didn't even do anything wrong.
I know, he did nothing
John
wrong.
Jar Sneaks sent $20. Florida bill is expired. You hire an HVAC contractor. Jamaicans show up to fund it all. You hire plumbers and electricians, not verbal Mexicans, how to do it all wrong. Just give me Greenland Road.
Yeah, so I've heard.
Ella67 sent $20. Many Europeans use the days, as they are a French invention. Zoran is now using the Lackerby Day in his official residence to further his political agenda.
Is he?
Nick 2.5 sent $20. Why is every Bears movie made just him saying, well, that's not funny or something along the lines of, why would you think that? Sent face emoji. All in a bitch, he feels sorry for the British accent. Does he actually have any political knowledge that's relevant in today's world, and when will the boomers realize their politics are irrelevant?
He just does that to make people squirm. It's a tactic.
Average John 93 sent $100. I grew up in a border town next to me and my family is half American, some live on one side, some on the other. If Alberta leaves Canada, I'm fully on board with U.S. taking us over. We'd be liberal forever.
What do you mean? Oh, Canada would be. Or we would be. I'm not sure what you mean by that. I want us to break apart Canada. We should definitely absorb Alberta. Thank you for that.
Thank you for saying exactly what I was thinking about PBD. He's always been a dork. He's a successful dumbass. Adam is a fucking retard. It really is insane how big a deal they are making this.
Well, Adam is a Jew. Be very clear about that. And that's how Jews behave. So his behavior is not surprising. It tracks. It's his nature. Patrick, David, I like the guy. I met the guy. I like him. I shook his hand. But he's buying into the nonsense here, and it's disappointing. You should know better. Why are you buying into this crap? No older guy over the age of 40 should be falling for this kind of stuff. You should be rolling your eyes and saying this is ridiculous.
Relax sent $20. Do you expect anything significant from the Isaac Accords? Any permanence to the Venezuela situation?
I haven't seen the, you mean Abraham Accords? I haven't seen the Isaac Accords.
Jordan Nelson sent $20. Hey man, Mom, showed everything you were doing for God and country. You were inspiration to me. God bless you and everything you do for us. We don't deserve it.
Well, thank you, I appreciate
Mr.
it.
Finn sent $20. What do you think about Jurassic Park 3 Spinosaurus?
Never saw Jurassic Park, too scary.
Harley Land sent $20. You constantly spew lies about her.
I don't like all the suspense. I don't like all the, like, you know, they're hiding and the dinosaurs are sniffing. I don't like suspense. I don't like thrillers. I don't like thrills, you know. It's too much for me. Too scary. I don't like, I'm not watching Jurassic Park. It's too freaky. So I've never seen it.
Harley Land sent $20. You constantly spew lies about Iran. It's not just Kurds coming out of the West. Millions of Iranians from all 31 provinces came out. Thousands killed. We want the show back. I want this to be a rag again so bad because Jews cloud your judgment. Bro, I pursue a geopolitical memory of regime change politically less than 25 years.
That's propaganda. You probably don't even live there. Do you even live in Iran? You probably don't even live there. You're some Persian, you're some Iranian in the diaspora, and you're, you know, you think we're going to go and fight your war. You don't even know what's going on in Iran, so shut up.
Mark Satan sent $20. Hi Nick, do you think a large Christian theocratic state / world is realistic? How could it work in practice? God bless. Crazy E. Dave sent $20. What the fuck are these bill stamps are introducing in Virginia? Repealing mandatory minimum sentences for rape, child porn, robbery, and violent crimes. There's like 6 million more garbage bills.
I'm not following that. I didn't see
They
that.
on Vietnamese children sent $21. I know Douglas Murray is married to a Jewish man, but his book, The Strange Death of Europe, is a good read and destroys Islam and multiculturalism. At least these Jews are pretty far down the right side of horseshoe like us. More tolerable than the pro-Palestinian freaks.
Oh, that's a fire. No, I disagree.
Ryan Laugh sent $35. You started off the year talking about how anti-Semitism went on and you're taking the gold sponsorship. You didn't address the fraud in Gariah's Joel. You got the call and you answered. GG, it was good while it lasted.
I don't know what Gariah's Joel is. I got the gold sponsorship because at the pinnacle of Mark Levin's feud of Tucker Carlson, at the peak of that, the gold sponsor said, I don't like Mark Levin anymore. He's a Gentile. He said, I like you. So it was literally an FU to Mark Levin for crashing out on Tucker. But people make shit up. That's why I stopped believing in a lot of conspiracies, because of how uncharitable people are to me and how much people think they know what they're talking about, how fucking ignorant they are, and so confident.
Hey, what the hell?
So that was offered to us 4 months ago.
What the fuck are you
At the
doing?
peak
Stand my ground.
of the Mark Levin crash out on Tucker. It's a Gentile company. They said, we're so frustrated with Mark Levin. Nick is right about him. We're going to give it to you instead. That was the conversation, and people say, oh, he doesn't know it's Jewish. You don't even know what it is. You don't even know what company it is. Not every gold company is run by Jews. This one isn't. You don't even know the story, but of course people take that and they say, oh, we got... And the fraud, and I don't even know what you're talking about. Curious Joel, I don't even know what that is. Oh, these Hasidic Jews? Oh, give me a break. Who fucking cares? Yes, I want them to be arrested, but that's just whataboutism. They uncovered something in Minneapolis. They said, oh, well, what about the Jews over here? The fraud that's being perpetrated in America is about we have a Jewish oligarchy. Yeah, I'm only talking about the structural problem of Jews having power in America. You didn't talk about these Hasids that are skimming a little bit of welfare money or something. Holy shit, yeah, fuck off. Don't watch my show, you're too stupid.
Amazing Raw Iverson $20. As based on women and other societal issues, but Tom G stands for Top Boy.
No, you're wrong.
Growing Rebel sent $25. Did you see Tyler Oliver's YouTube video about the Hasidic Jewish enclave in Rice Joel in New York? It's insane how we allow all kinds of foreign communities take advantage and influence our country. Thanks for another great show. God bless you. Stay safe.
Yeah, obviously, we just saw that. I did see that.
Cartoon style individual sent $100. Sorry, should have clarified. Got character count cut. Yes, I meant from a safety/stability perspective as an expatriate. Things seem fine now, but was curious on your take. Thank you for everything.
Hey, thanks for the big super chat. I appreciate
Mom
it.
and Vietnamese children sent $21. To all the coping Larry the Lobsters in the comments who can't scratch their back. The Romans were all in.
Very
Chicago
true.
Dog sent $20. And in other news, Nick ordered a Red Bull on the box.
Well, they just handed me a can of Red
The
Bull.
light skin bro ever sent $20. First super chat. I'm half black/white and rock my black hip.
And by the way, here's another thing. Here's something you guys don't understand, okay? Do you know how much it costs me to have full-time security now? It costs me at a minimum $10,000 a week. Okay? So people want to get we're going to gatekeep it. And by the way, I haven't taken a sponsorship for 10 years. I rely on super chats, merch sales, subscriptions. I've never taken a dime from a sponsor. This one is funny because the guy is spitefully leaving Levin and going to me because he hates Levin now and he likes me. It is substantial. My security costs have increased from $0 to $500,000 a year. Okay? So, I love, people always got something to say. Well, look, if you want to do what I do at the level I do it, we do have to be practical. You think I want to do a sponsorship? If I was a billionaire, I wouldn't take a super chat or a sponsorship. But things got a lot more expensive this year. And that's one of the reasons I considered it. It's going to be, we haven't even finished the deal. Who knows if we'll finish it. If we do it, I'll probably read it at the end like a super chat. It'll be like another super chat. And it'll help offset some of the costs. But it's crazy. People have no idea. I mean, they have no idea. And you need it. Because the climate that we live in. And people are, I was just with Tim Pool. They were getting shot at their place. Charlie Kirk gets shot. It isn't the same. I try not to talk about that on the show, but that is reality. And unlike Candace Owens, I don't make $10 million a year off of ad revenue because I don't read ads and I'm not on YouTube. So that's rich. You're on YouTube raking in $10 million a year. How much do you make? How much do you make? 3 million downloads an episode. How much do you make from the 5 ads that you read on your show? And you make $10 million a year. I don't make even close to that. And then she's going to say, oh, you take one sponsorship, well, that's the end. Oh, and that means your credibility's gone. Well, most of that is going to literally security. Oh, whatever.
The light skin bro, I percent $20. First super chat. I'm half black/white and rock my black AF had it SoCal. White bald lives hard, starts shit at 5 guys and says fuck you. Freedom of speech, right? I accused him of being a white apologist. That triggered him and he kept nagging me. I said want to go outside cause we have the freedom to catch these hands. He folded and left hot.
Wow, based.
Grant from Rent said $20. It feels like BBD has been bribed by BB and Pahlavi to rally support for regime change. His behavior has changed dramatically after interviewing BB, and his lack of patriotism makes me feel like they have blackmail on him. Every pod BB touches turns to dust.
Yeah, I think he just believes in it, man. Not everything is a conspiracy. I love when he's got to be blackmailed. No, some people are they're just with that. He's not Iranian, he's Assyrian. Of course he doesn't support the Islamic regime. He's a secular Assyrian. So no, actually not everybody is being held at gunpoint. And, you people are really dumb. Everybody thinks that if someone doesn't agree with you, if the system is in place, it's never because the system has inertia. It's never because they have full spectrum control over the media. It's never because they're in a soft patronage network. No, it's because they're being blackmailed. Let me tell you something about human nature. Most people cannot wake up every day being completely blackmailed and then lie through their teeth to the audience. Most people aren't doing that. Okay? Odds are he just is, a Zionist. Maybe he's afraid of the pushback. Maybe he just likes his position. He's more likely than not, he's just afraid of the consequences, and that's it. If he's being blackmailed, why would he have me on the show? So, and by the way, there's no evidence of that. People love to jump to, oh, it's a giant conspiracy, it's blackmail, it's this. Never any evidence. You can't rush to judgment and say, oh, this guy, if he doesn't agree with me, it's because he's probably being blackmailed by them. It's so exhausting having to explain that every single day. Patrick, that David supports regime change in Iran makes me feel like they have blackmail on him. Yeah, or he's an Assyrian expat. His dad fled Iran. He's an ethnic minority. He's secular. Of course he supports the he's a fucking expat. Of course all the Iranian expats support that. Whether they're famous or not, Jewish or not, like all the Iranian expats hate the regime. Okay, that's very common among Iranians. So that's not unique, actually. I feel like you speak black belt. Well, yeah, because you're the expert.
Corbin sent $20. That Snake podcast was cool, but that other kid was so annoying. Every time he opened his mouth, I wanted to smack him. How'd you sit there that long?
Well, then you're just dumb.
Chase sent $20. From the people that notice you in public, what percent would you say are positive versus negative towards you?
It's like 99% positive. I get noticed and approached everywhere I go now. Everywhere. Literally everywhere. I went out in the rain. There was like a torrential downpour last week in Chicago. I went out in the pouring rain to a restaurant late at night. One guy was working there. He recognized me. I can't believe you're here. I'm a big fan. At the airport, I get recognized by the TSA. I get recognized by, people on the plane. Every restaurant, at least somebody recognizes me. Walking down the street, people stop me, ask for a picture. And out of all these interactions, I've had 2 negative interactions. 2. In all of 2025, in 2026 so far, 2 of them have been negative. But like countless people coming up, taking a picture, shaking my hand, keep up the great work, knuckle touch. It's almost all positive. So that's a very good sign. And I love it because I love people. In real life, I can tolerate people. On here, it's very annoying.
Connecticut sent $20. It's been a while since you've crashed out. How long did the street hold? God bless you.
I crashed out
Aaron
a
sent
little just
$20.
now.
Michael Tracy, the only one to speak truth about Epstein. It's a victim settlement industrial complex.
Yep.
Was never met him.
Yep.
You on system update. That was the first time I heard you speak.
You're 100% right.
Napalm on Vietnamese children sent 20.
That's what Virginia Giuffre was in the business of. They made millions and millions of dollars making ridiculous claims, getting payouts. And that's where it's all coming from.
Napalm on Vietnamese children sent $20. I look at things like Benny, Son, and Piers Morgan, Douglas Murray. These British chicks have soft accents that make them sound much smarter than they are, but are so boring. Then I look at niggas like you and Larry David, expressive, funny, loud, vibrant, talking with your hands. Birds swim like cheese in a bad way.
Very
Jimmy
true.
at 79.89 sent $100. Funny watching talking heads cope with your success by claiming your audience is just disaffected young white man. I'm 35, married 14 years, and don't think shall me. Thanks and God bless.
Thank you, man. Appreciate the big super chat. Yeah, it is a code. Because I get recognized by people of all ages, from all walks of life. Old guys, young guys, women, white people, non-white people. That's true. I appreciate the big super chat. God bless.
3 cent $50.
Love the old heads.
Instead of leaving it at my door, the bitch left it in my driveway. Now Chili's triple dimer blew over. Ranch come spilled, not care to come up. They're fine with Mexican. What can they?
Okay, it's not all Mexicans. It's a lot of Venezuelans. It's a lot of Northern Triangle, a lot of Africans. You can't blame that one all on us, okay? That's not all us.
Low 253 sent $20. Mr. Steve Honick takes them out.
I don't want, well, hey, I'm not even saying I want to save her. I'm not saying I want to. And by that, I don't mean like she's going to continue doing it, but like, just say you don't get it. Just say less, okay?
Jiminy Dr. Burton sent $50. Mr. Fuentes, I look up to you. My sister respects me distantly, but she's bisexual and prioritizes that fulfilling career over having kids. She thinks in my perspective when the subject came up. What responsibilities do I have towards her worldview? How would you approach this?
You can't force people to do things. So, what responsibility do you have? Well, you're not responsible for her life. That's just not the way the world works anymore. In the old days, maybe you could exert more influence, but you can't anymore. And she's her own woman. She's going to make her own decisions. We can LARP and say, no, you got to set her straight. When and it doesn't work that way. And if you know, you know. If you live in this world, you know that. And sometimes the more you push people away. So, I would try to maintain the relationship, stay on good terms, but make it clear you don't approve of the lifestyle. Make it clear you don't approve of it. Be a good example. Be supportive. And keep her close. When people are, when people are wayward, you got to bring them in. You can't push them away. You got to bring them in. It's going to be uncomfortable, and you might fight a little bit. But you got to try to keep that relationship, maintain a close relationship, and just try to be there. Because life is long, and people change. And if you set a good example, if you plant the seed, you have a good relationship, eventually, maybe she'll be in a position where she's going to listen to you. But you can't push too hard. So, unfortunately, you can't control people. Sadly, You can't just make people live the way you want them to live.
Flop
That's
sent
life.
$20. I went from a corporate boss lady feminist to a married stay-at-home mom. I've never been happier. Thank you for speaking out. This is why women support you. Feminism has destroyed our culture.
Hey, I love to hear that, and I love to hear that women support me. And that's really all we want. You want women to be happy. You want women to be in their natural role. You want people to be in a big, happy family. I mean, what's better than that? We live for that. We want to live in a big, happy family where dad is a man, and dad's putting bread on the table, and dad is the one who's the boss. We want to live in a family where mom is at home, feeding us, raising us, there for us, loving, pleasant, sweet. That's the kind of household we want to live in. We don't want to live in a world where it's like we're not eating dinner at the table. Mom and dad are stressed. They're both working. They're fighting over the chores. Mom's a bitch. We don't want to live in that world. So, love to hear it.
And why Ashley sent $50. Every man who has subscribed to OnlyFans thought of it already.
I think every man has thought of it.
Weightlifter Grover sent $20. Thoughts on Hernan Cortes? Bro landed with 400 Spaniards. Risked up a native girl to be his translator, then used politics and war to conquer the Aztec Empire. Holy Aura.
Okay, Reddit.
Blue Eagle Grower sent $20. Did you listen to Zerka's Twitter space on Sneeko and Tate? He compares you to the Avatar.
No, I didn't. But hey, that's high praise. I am like the Avatar. You know, when the world needed him most, he vanished. But then I got reincarnated as a
Good
boyish
to see you, boss.
young
Hello.
man.
What can I do for you? You got a nice fleet, boss.
I never finished that
Let me
show. I don't
what
know
you
the
want,
ending. Didn't he
and I'll
learn
tell
like
Titus is
firebending
able
or
to get it
something?
ready.
I am. I master all the elements. So yeah, there.
Rockshot sent $20. I started watching
comparison.
Hodge Twin Spot. I thought, wow, this guy is pretty smart. But now, dude, I think you're way smarter. Keep winning, King.
You're looking
Side note,
good.
my Korean Warfare
Really.
grandpa would love you.
Just
He was
let me
true
know
wit.
what you need.
God rest his soul.
Hey, thank
How
you
do
very
you
much,
choose
man.
between
Yeah,
your
God
children?
bless. God bless the veterans. Appreciate it, buddy.
Seat Football sent $20. Hitler wouldn't like to be in shit's gay. Love the show, though.
Okay.
Dude sent $100. Hey, Nick, my DoorDash driver tonight was a Mexican. Freezing cold and windy in the Midwest. Instead of putting the order on
Oh, you sent that already. I'll refund that because it's a duplicate. That's $100.
Russell sent $30. You got me curious. Have you ever seen the movie Pretty Woman with Richard Gere and Julia Roberts?
No, it sounds dumb.
Wade Benedict sent $20. No dimple on the tie day. Sheesh. Looks like shit. Thoughts on Gotis?
Oh yeah, I guess I was in a hurry today.
What's cooking?
Gotis?
Let me know.
I don't know. I don't. I had a friend who was really into his content, and then we kind of discovered there's like a little bit of a dark side there. There's like, why is this guy always talking about killing people all the time? Why is this guy talking about how in the natural order we'd be hunting people and killing them all the time? I don't know the answer to those questions, but I heard some things. It was a little off-putting. Let's put it that way. So I like his content. I think he's funny, but it seems like there's some scary stuff going on there. I don't know if I want to get mixed up in all that, but I wish him
User
the best.
1257456 sent $20. W monologues this week. I saw the Jon Stewart clip on how this country was never ours. Almost like my cortisol levels rise, but I took yours in class advice to lower them. W advice.
Don't let him spike your
Chanel
cortisol.
sent $20. Hey, Nick, what is your Chick-fil-A order? Can't decide what's my favorite. Much love from Tel Aviv.
I get all of it. All of it.
Max Plus 95 sent $20. There needs to be a broader dating site for people with common sense. With all the insanity we see on a daily basis, where's any kind of insensitive for anyone to try dating the proper way anymore? Smiley face emoji.
Hi there.
Where's any kind of insensitive?